Yo, guys, what's up? And welcome back to the Marvelous Chats podcast. This is episode 113. Tonight on the cast, we're going to be talking about Loki season 2, episode 1. We're going to be talking about the end of the Ahsoka series and episode 4 of Gen V. Tonight on the cast is myself, Finto, Alex, aka Zaberwolf, and we've got two guests with us tonight. We've got Chillin in the basement, who, if you're in the chat a lot, you know him. He's always been around. And we got Andrei returning as well, who was here for the anime episode. So, guys, without further ado, here we go. I'll let the guys introduce themselves. Yo, what's up, people?
Hey,
how are we?
Hello.
Hope everybody's doing well. Chillin. Welcome to the stream. It's your first time here, so it's a pleasure to have you. Do you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a pleasure to be here. I appreciate it. Chilling in the basement. That's my channel name. Just come by. I talk about this stuff, Marvel, Star Wars. The nerd stuff for the most part. I occasionally dip into the business side of stuff too, just for perspective's sake. But yeah, just
cool.
Just another guy out there trying to do it. But the main purpose is why I say chilling in the basement is because that's the community I'm trying to build. Just come on through my channel, hang out. We'll talk about the stuff we enjoy talking about, and then it'll be awesome.
That sounds great.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Andrei as well is returning. He was with us a couple of weeks ago where we were speaking about all of the anime stuff, One Piece, so on. As you can see, if you're watching this cast now, you'll see he's got a beautiful background there. If you're listening to us on a replay, guys, if you want to be part of the chat live, you got to head over to our YouTube channel. We broadcast this live over on YouTube. So, Andrei, dude, pleasure to have you back. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, always, dude, always.
Yeah, stressful, like just started the new job, having a ton of the things to do at work. So, to be honest, getting underestimated at work, it's kind of nice because if you see me, you don't expect somebody who should have such a, I don't know what type of, how do you want to call it, experience in some cases, because you're going to see a young fellow. So everybody's going to put me down low. Then Papa Andrei is gonna come in. Is gonna tell no. Let me explain. Give me a moment.
Okay, guys. So basically, I know the two of you are fairly new to the channel here. We used to have 4 people on the cast pretty much at all times. Probably about maybe 50 or 60 episodes ago nearly at this stage. But we used to. How I would usually start these conversations is we do like pick the discussion, we do like a little round table, kind of rate it, and then just kind of go off from there. So I think just with the fact that Ahsoka is done, it's wrapped for the season, I think we should probably start with Ahsoka, and then we'll move into Loki, and then we can talk about Gen V, because I know, Alex, you'd only seen the first episode last week, so it'll be interesting to see what you've thought about the other 3 episodes. And if there's anything else, if there's questions in the chat, any of that sort of stuff, we'll tackle all that at the end as well. So, and if you know how these things go, like we'll probably naturally go off on a tangent, especially before people here. Like the conversations, I'll try and reel them back in if I can, but I know they're probably going to get a bit out of the way, like, and go a bit wild, but I'll do my best to rein it in. So, but look, this is what it's all about. It's a marvelous chat, so there's no boundaries, so we can talk about anything.
Dirty discussions never digress. I know not of what you're talking.
Yeah, just a quick shout out as well to the Den of Nerds, because that's where I met these 2 wonderful gentlemen from. So yeah, it's great to kind of connect through other communities. This is the beauty of YouTube and Discord and all these places. You meet like-minded people, and the relationships grow. And as I say, I'm from Ireland. Zaber's on the West Coast. Chillin, I'm not sure exactly whereabouts you're from, and Andrei, you're in Europe as well. So we're all over the world here. So it's great to see. It's great to see.
The internet makes it possible, huh?
You're a classic Midwestern white guy.
Guys, let's start with Ahsoka. What do we think? I'll start with you. I'll do it clockwise. So Alex, you can go first. Give me your rating on the finale first of all, and then maybe what you thought of the whole season. Like, maybe give me a score on the entire season now that it's all done. We'll go from there.
Oh man, honestly, dude, this finale, like, it wasn't for me. I know it wasn't for me. I know it couldn't have been for me at all. Like, there was no way for me to look at this and be like, yeah, I can accept this, because I had not watched any of the stuff prior to this. And I know this is all like a send off for people like you, Finto, who have watched all of the animated shows, anything that pertains to this lore, it works for you. I'm pretty sure you've seen like little bits and pieces here and there, some Easter eggs, and even at the end with Balin and the statues that you see, like the monuments.
Yeah.
I know that's all for you, man, and it's all like one of those moments where I think it's like with Disney, with any sort of company that mainly Disney, that wants to just say, hey, remember this? Like, it's a lot of member berries, dude, and I'm not a fan of it. Like, it's not my cup of tea. Like, I don't care what happened in the past unless like it all interconnected, like full on, which this show took years in the making, right? Like, I'm pretty sure, like, what was it, the last thing? Was it Rebels or was it Clone Wars that ended this kind of like sequence before Thrawn was gone?
Rebels
in the story, but I think didn't Clone Wars season 7 air after Rebels finished? Like, that was the last thing to air, like, in timeline order, I suppose, but not like in the actual storyline, if that makes sense.
Well, leading up to this point, but like, I guess my question is, like, was there anything that was continuing the story like excessively? Like, by the time we got to this year of 2023 and the show started, had there been anything in between that like kind of gave us this feeling that this was going to happen, or is this just a random story that popped up? Because it just feels like, to me, it just feels like a random story out of nowhere. Because I've not seen like all the stuff prior.
So if I can jump
Rebels
in,
literally ended.
Rebels. Oh, sorry, go, Chillin.
I was just gonna say, Rebels literally ended with Ahsoka and Sabine preparing to partner up and go look for Ezra.
Okay.
Fact.
Yeah, and we saw Ahsoka the White with the staff and everything. That was like the last shot of Rebels, which they recreated in live action as well. So, which I obviously had problems with because there was like continuity errors for it, which I was hoping that they were going to address in the show, which they didn't, and I'm still confused. So that annoyed me. And I'm presuming, Chillin, I think me and you kind of are on the same page with a lot of this stuff. So I think what I'm saying, you're probably gonna back me up on it, but like, it just didn't make any sense. And it felt when the show started and there was a couple of theories that they might go back in time and then, retell the story again. I would tell, like, okay, that makes sense. Like, why she'd be wearing white in Rebels and now not wearing white in the Ahsoka show in live action. But yeah, I don't know, bro. Like, it didn't make any sense. I thought Dave would have tidied that up and he didn't.
Yeah, that wasn't one of the things that was there. I have other things that annoyed me a lot more than that. I'll just put it that way.
Oh yeah, no, same.
But
same.
like,
same.
overall, I'd give the show an 8.5 though, like in its entirety.
Yeah.
Maybe I was just shut up. Maybe I was just fanboying, but I liked the finale. Like, overall, I enjoyed it. But
I'll get to my review.
Like,
I'll get to my review of it shortly.
After another week, we'll see.
Yeah.
After another week, we'll see.
Right.
But right now, I'm still firmly in the I enjoyed it, but it could have been stronger camp.
Yeah, Alex, what would you? So you're not rating the series that high, I don't think, because I know for I'd say at least half of the series you were kind of like, yeah, this isn't for me.
It was starting to pick up like around the third episode, and I did like some of the fights that were going on. I think that the practicality that they've put into the show is kind of nice, but I would have really preferred the CG effects that they did in the prequel trilogy, because that was honestly peak. And for the fans that were pissed off about that and said that it doesn't look practical or it looks like shit, they're a bunch of liars, because now that we get to this practical stuff, I've been seeing a lot of fan reviews saying that the lightsaber, against the blasters have been shit. It looks bad. Like, it's like, what do you want then? Like, at this point, why did, like, I think that Star Wars should have just stuck to their guns and just kept the light sticks that they were using in the prequel trilogy and just continue with that for any sort of movie, any sort of show, because that, in my opinion, was peak. That was like the summit of what peak like lightsaber duels look like, especially between like Obi-Wan and Anakin. like I don't think anybody really batted an eye to the fact that sequence in the finale of this prequel trilogy was utterly fantastic. The music was amazing. Everything was on point at that time. And now that we're getting this like low point practicality kind of feel, which like I understand a lot of people were like, go back to the basics, go back to props. But this is what happens when you go back to props. Things are heavier, things are, are realistic. So it's like, but in a world where you have lightsabers that literally stop at a certain point and are able to act as if they're swords themselves, like I don't think you really need practicality. I think you just need to do a bunch of CG and make it look as good as possible.
Yeah.
Put it in the dark. I don't care. Like if a CG works well in the dark, by all means. If you can't do it during the daylight, use special like scenery, like change scenes, move it around, like kind of make it look as best as possible, because it's not going to be perfect. And so like I think that the whole sequence with the stormtroopers coming through and shooting down, like we're shooting at Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra, was not bad. It wasn't bad because they were defending themselves. They were trying their best to like keep the tides down, but ultimately they overcame it. I could have taken like a shot, someone getting hit somewhere and kind of showing that they're going to be fatigued later on or something. It doesn't have to be this like the heroes always win kind of situation. Like the heroes always make it out unscathed. Like if you really want reality in this, someone's going to get hit, and it doesn't have to be a fatal shot. It could be a flesh wound. It could be something. But anyways,
that's very kind of like Japanese, I suppose, isn't it? Right? Like, like the all the samurais would be full of scars and stuff because, obviously they make mistakes and stuff. But
yeah,
I suppose like the whole kind of thing of the Jedi, or like, the Jedi masters and the knights and stuff, is that, they were so in tune with the Force that like they're basically untouchable. And I think that's kind of the beauty of it, or that's always been the beauty of Star Wars to me. It's like, the only person who's like taken out Obi-Wan or Anakin or any of these people is somebody who is more trained in the Force. Like normal people can't even touch them. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the way I would have always thought that it was, and like, even like when you go and play like games, like, start playing a Star Killer and stuff like that, it's like this guy like is throwing humans around like puppets and all, like, like that's just how powerful they are. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I think you're right in this show 100%. The likes of Sabine, I know she was kind of getting shot with the Beskar armor and stuff like that,
and that works
because it does. That's fine. That's
yeah.
real. Like I fully accept that, and I don't really want to talk too much right now. I want to get your opinions first, but like I think you're right in what you're saying. But like, I think Ahsoka is probably one of the most powerful characters in Star Wars at this point, if not. Like, I think she's probably on par with Luke, if I'm being honest. I know Luke is obviously very strong, but he's not been a Jedi Master too long at this very point. So I would say there's an argument there that, they could be on par power level wise, because obviously Ahsoka trained with Anakin, had so many years, became pretty much a Jedi Knight herself, and has had years to kind of master her skills and so on. But Luke is still kind of quite new at being a Jedi Master. He's not Grandmaster yet. So, I think Ahsoka is probably, if not the most powerful Jedi in the galaxy right now. And I think it would make sense that she'd be able to walk through a room of stormtroopers and not get hit at all. I think she'd just make it look easy.
Yeah, I could see that. Like for Ahsoka, but in a room full of like stormtroopers, and then you have 3 targets. I think there can be a little bit of mistakes here and there, because you don't want to hit your friendlies.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to delve too deep into that, because I think it'll just get into this whole technicality thing.
I just want to make a quick comment just on this chat. Just Star Wars is all about practical puppets and stuff like that. I don't think, and maybe I'm speaking for you, Alex, but I think I know what you're referencing. The lightsabers being like physical, actual like props, where like the lights come on and stuff, and they're heavier and they're a lot, that makes the choreography a lot harder. Whereas back in like 2005, they were just using metal rods and adding it with CGI after. That's what you're referring to, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, we're not actually talking about physical
like puppetry
props, like
or
it's not that. It's all just the choreography with the blades, with the lightsabers and stuff like that. And I think, to add on to that, I think another big part of that is just that they don't have the original like choreographed team like Nick Gillard and stuff like that. Like these guys who were in the prequels, who took years to actually choreograph all these fights and made them look professional as fuck. And then, the likes of Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, like literally putting 10 months of their life into learning all these fights. Like that's just not happening now. Rosario Dawson, I got the feeling when I was watching kind of the build-ups of the show and stuff that she was putting a lot of effort into it. And when Dave made the comments like, our lightsaber fights need to be good because our fans know the difference, I was expecting a lot more out of than what we got. I don't know what to say. Like, it was fine, but it wasn't great. It could have definitely been a lot better.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, I'm not saying that it was terrible. I'm just saying that it could have been better.
Yeah.
It was definitely one of those moments where you kind of look again, like I'm reiterating, like you look at the prequel trilogy, you should just pony off that and just continue like that. It doesn't have to be as high of a scene as we saw back then, but it could be something similar. We could see the choreography like really shine and show like, hey, these people are acrobatic and these people have like have taken the time to train in their skills to learn something new. It's like with Keanu Reeves and John Wick, I'm pretty sure he didn't have to learn all that stuff, but he did. He learned how to like disarm someone, how to like knowing when to double tap your opponent. Like he does it. Like if you look at every scene in John Wick, he double taps everyone.
Yeah.
Like you leave no one alive. And that's the thing. That's the reality.
Yeah. He's an actual assassin. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
So like
it's crazy.
When you see, yeah. And so like when you see actual Jedi, I want to see the choreography.
Yeah, and like I know Hayden Christensen got shit for years, but to be honest, and I've always been a Hayden simp my whole life. Like it was the second I saw him in Attack of the Clones, I was like whatever age I was, like I was young, and I was just like, this dude just gets it straight away. Like even just how he handles a lightsaber, and I loved it from the beginning. Like it was incredible. But even now, when you see him come back and he's in his like mid to late 40s now, he's still the best swordsmith on the show, like hands down. And you can see even without the likes of Nick Gillard there and stuff, I would not be surprised if Hayden himself was kind of creating that choreography, because I just feel that has just stuck with him, and you can just see so clearly that this is his passion. Like you can just tell he loves it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and obviously. But thing like this, the choreography was quite good, even in my opinion. So it wasn't that pompous or that like too shiny or too brilliant, or I want to put it, but they still did a good job, because even the fights between Morgan and Ahsoka was shiny, was good. You got good optics on it.
Yeah,
and
that was the best fight of the season. That last fight with her when she had the blade, the mother's blade or whatever.
Yeah,
and
Mother Talvin.
Yeah, that was the best. That was probably the best fight in the season. It was very kind of Japanese and stuff. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it. That was great.
Look, I think if you're gonna have like a sword fight and it's gonna be just sword on sword, face to face, then it's gonna get very one-sided very fast, and you're gonna get a bit annoyed. But once they're gonna have a turn, or they're gonna have a spin, or somebody's gonna do like a move or a jump or crawl, I don't know, do something. So just don't keep it like two sticks and just
Yeah.
So just give it a bit of aesthetic or something that has another perspective, or do something like Hayden. He did his move like behind the back, the sword. He turned
Signature
around.
spin, yeah.
So so obviously a fan who loves, like you said, Anakin. When you saw that, you was like, oh baby.
Yeah, I was screaming. I was loving it.
Exactly.
So Alex, before we move on, just give us the finale score out of 10, and then give us the entire series out of 10, and then we'll move on to Chillin. We'll make our way around clockwise.
Honestly, like I give it a 5. Like it wasn't
The
my
whole
cup of
show
tea,
or
man.
the finale?
The finale is a 5.
yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
finale like really tanked in my opinion. Like in terms like no connections for me, because I haven't watched the shows previously. I think this show could have really delved deeper by giving some sort of background. You know how like with Marvel they have Marvel's Legends, and in which case like they talk about the character and what their background is and whatnot. Like I could have really benefited from that, of having like a previously kind of situation, not within the show itself, but maybe within like their own type of way of explaining like these characters, like what they've been through and all. Because if you jump in without having seen like Clone Wars and Rebels, like you're kind of in the dark.
Yeah.
You don't know who these characters are. I barely know them. I barely know who Thrawn is. It's really hard for me to connect with them. So like it gets a low score because there's no connection for me to gain from it. Overall, the whole show, I give it like a low 7. I think that it didn't stick the landing, in my opinion. I think that like it really rushed at the very end of it, and it was just like it wasn't fun to me. There were a lot of different scenes that I thought were done in a way to just force the characters to win in certain areas and to lose in others.
Yeah,
and it just it felt like it was just shoehorned, and it just no. Like it's just turning into a like more, and the more I think about it, the more I don't like it.
Chillin, change his mind. Let's go.
Okie dokie. Well, for most of the fighting, I have to agree. I think the best fights were always both Ahsoka and Balin's fights. Ahsoka and Morgan at the end.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about it. Like the big first fight in the woods was okay.
That went up in smoke. That one did anyway.
Ahsoka, yeah. Yes.
Sorry, I had to.
Night sister fart gas. Morocco.
Yeah, that was such a fucking anticlimax. That was really annoying for me.
Yeah.
Like us as fans, obviously, we're gonna theorize and get everything like blown up crazy. Like people are like, "Oh my god, it's Starkiller! Oh my god, it's this and that! It's crazy! It's Ezra!" You know, any of those would have been better than what we got. You know, it's just classic. Leave it to the fans to write better shit. Like it's crazy. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, that happens a lot, unfortunately. But I know a lot of people probably like have a problem with Balin's style of fighting, but the dude is literally the size of Darth Vader. Like, so he's gonna fight like he's like that. It's gonna be power strokes, you know.
Yeah.
There's not gonna be a whole shit ton of excess movement or anything like that in a style for a guy that build and for the way he set up his saber.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like he set it up to be treated like a two-handed broadsword from Braveheart. So, it's minimal movement, maximum power. That's his style. But his ability to like get in there and get in, like tell what you want to do and like get into your emotions like he did with Ahsoka and with Sabine in the same battle, essentially. I mean, Balin's my fave out of this whole show, honestly.
Oh, Balin killed, dude.
He's up there.
Oh yeah, Rain Stevenson just knocked out of the park.
Ray Stevenson was so good. It's such a shame that he's gone because the amount of love he would be getting for this show would be just sad, crazy.
Do they recast for season 2?
They need to.
They have to, like, especially the way they ended the show. They literally left themselves no choice. They have to. Like, there's no way they could even remotely get away with some stupid ass off screen bullshit like they pulled with Chadwick.
Yeah.
So
big time. I can't remember who was talking about it. I don't know if it was Terry or if it was Josh. One of them was mentioning how like they thought maybe Balin had a lot more in the finale, but they maybe stripped it back just because they knew he obviously had passed, and maybe they cut out a few of his scenes because it kind of did feel as if the Balin stuff was like ramped up a lot, like around like episodes like 5 and 6, and then it just completely fell off. Like we saw maybe 6 minutes of Balin for the rest of the show after that, and I just thought that like it was the most compelling story of the whole thing, and they just kind of dropped it off. And I feel like maybe they had to do that just for real world politics, but I think they have to recast. I saw there was a fan casting. Your man Liv Schreiber, he would be perfect to play him. Perfect.
See, I'm leaning more Gerard Butler. They're basically the same size and basically the same face shape. You throw a beard on Gerard Butler, and you're
that's golden. True. Yeah,
I can agree with that.
And even kind of speak. When Gerard isn't shouting, they actually do sound a bit alike too.
Yeah,
Gerard's
they're close enough.
Might
like
be a bit more husky, but
Stevenson was like Northern Irish, and I believe Jared's like Scottish, so they're close. Like they would sound a good bit different, but I think Jared's good enough to maybe be able to replicate Ray's voice quite easily. Like they're very close geologically
Oh yeah.
together. So yeah.
I know an Irish guy with a beard who can play Bane.
Could you imagine? No. Nowhere near tall enough. These guys are giants. I'm an average size man. I'm okay to say
like,
it.
what is it? Ray was like 6'3", and I think Gerard's 6'2".
Yeah, like I'm 5'9", guys. I'm sorry. I'm an average size man. Should have been the Bale Joe. He was dope. I fully agree with Marvel. Fully agree. He was incredible. He was incredible.
And
It's so sad.
I think Marvel should fix things so your avatar is the one handling the Secret Wars too. But that's probably a subject for another stream. But I saw Doom and I had to say it.
Yeah, no, Doom's a legend. So yeah, give us your score then. What do you think? Finale
Overall, I'm still giving the show.
Yeah.
So sorry.
No, go ahead.
Overall, I give this the show a score. Jesus. Of 8.5, just mostly on the strength of mostly on the strength of episodes 4 through 6, honestly, because those were just amazing. 7 was definitely a step back. I didn't dislike the finale, I think, as much as most people. The Balin thing did aggravate the shit out of me, like a lot. Ezra, I don't know what's up with Iman Esfandi, but he needs to get with a fucking martial arts trainer before season 2 comes out. That dude is clunky. He is not agile. His hand-to-hand looks like is completely ass. Yeah. So they need to get him a trainer. But
or get him a fucking good double or something. You know what I mean?
Or yeah.
There's plenty of actors and actresses out there that don't have martial arts experience, and that's fine. You know what I mean? If you're a face and you're a name, that's fine. They work around it. But like this dude, like, very clearly has no skill whatsoever, and they should have just brought in a double. Like he's got like big shaggy hair and a beard. Very easy to bring in a stunt double.
Yeah,
and just do side shots of the face and shots from behind, all that sort of stuff. So easy to do it. I don't know why they didn't do it. It just makes me feel again that Disney are just cutting costs wherever they can. I think back to what you previously said, Alex, about like the practical blades and stuff. Like, are they doing that because it looks better on camera? Probably not. Like, you know what I mean? I really think that they're probably doing it to cut down on CGI costs, realistically. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's evident that the actors can fight better with the lighter hilts, but they want to have the actual lighted blades so that, when Ahsoka holds one up against her face, you can see the white light shining off her face and they don't have to go and add that post-production. So,
they also could have done without the smoke, without the green smoke monsters and the zombies.
Oh, God.
They probably could have gotten rid of that scene. They could have gotten rid of a lot of things, and then they could have added on the CGI, and that would have been perfect.
If they fought those troopers and then just walked into the next room, I would have been perfect.
I would have been happy. I would have been completely happy with that.
That was it. I didn't need to see any more clunky fucking fighting against fucking troopers. I was not excited whatsoever when they rose up as zombies. I was just like, oh, whatever. I was so done at that point. I was just like, I don't care. I was watching Star Wars Theory reacting to it live, and he was like, when the witches started doing their magic, and he's like, it's Maul, it's gonna be Maul, Maul's coming back, and the troopers just started rising up, and he was like, that's what it is. I was like, bro, I didn't even care enough to even react to that. I was just sitting there, just watching it, just like, okay.
Yeah. A part of me was really feeling like it was going to come back.
Cool though.
That was cool. That was cool.
That blade was sick to see, like, manifest.
But that was it.
But in terms of Merrick,
Diana Lee Inosanto, isn't that her
she
name?
Morgan?
Who played Morgan?
I think that's
her.
She's fantastic.
But yeah, she is Bruce Lee's goddaughter.
Wow.
So she's been doing this shit a long time.
Yeah, you can even tell just the way she's holding the sword and all the poses and everything. Like, she is a martial artist, and I'm kind of sad that she's gone now because, like, where do they go in season 2? Like, she was definitely one of the more compelling characters of the show as well, and now she's gone. I don't know. Or is she gone? I don't know. Maybe she's not.
Yeah,
although
but
some
people survive first.
Some of her reactions, Diane Lee Inosanto. Okay. Insanto.
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks, Sabersmith. But yet some of her reactions, like when she was pleased with the turnout, were kind of comical to me because it almost looked like someone had one of those remote control little happy things. So for the ladies, a little buzzer. Guys are blanking it. There it is. There you go. I just got caught up. But yeah, she did a really good job overall.
She was amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Big time. Andrei, talk to us.
So for me, the Ahsoka was quite good because I don't know. So obviously because I watch Rebels, I have all the Rebels in my head, even the last season of Clone Wars. So for me, it was like a good continuation of the story. I was expecting a bit more from Ezra, to be honest, because in the last episode of Rebels, he was like practically just holding Thrawn and with the Force, and also somehow the ship, the Chimera, where they were like he was like just holding everything in place so that the pilgrims, how are they, pilgrims, so that the pilgrims can cross hyperspace and then skadoosh. But it was like a bit like I think like we also said it was kind of interesting how the three mothers could just localize Ahsoka like no problem with it, and Ezra was there for like 10 years and he was like, oh, yeah, I'm gone, you don't see me, like that type of cartoon type of hiding behind the stick with the bush. Yeah, you don't see me, you don't see me. So it was like a bit no, that I don't know, I cannot understand why was that possible just easily, just for the plot to have a sense. It was a bit like not that much into it, but for me overall was quite good. I liked all the episodes. It was like for me the slow burn was quite nice, and seeing that Ahsoka was a bit off her game in the start because she was a bit conflicted with the emotions and so on, and that Balin played her like a song, that was amazing because that gave Balin the character a lot of force and power, just knowing how to play the other enemies easily and get them in a bad position. And even like Tron, like he just dropped immediately, like your master was that guy, and who knows what you are, and that was quite good. So for me overall was very pleasant. I love I'm not a big fan of the CGI if the story gives me what I need, so to say, so I can easily skip a quality issue if it's quite practical, if I like and I enjoy the time that I'm spending watching the series, So that was quite good. I didn't like that Sabine was a bit too much and too loose, and like everybody's saying, yeah, she was like in the last episode, she could easily push Ezra without not that much training, but normally we don't know exactly off screen what the training she had. So, I think this is a bit. Yeah, go, Alex. Tell me.
I was gonna say it's as if Ahsoka like said one thing and all of a sudden everything unlocked in Sabine's mind. Like and I get it, and I get it. Finto's probably gonna defend it and be like, "Well, it's Ahsoka." Oh, you're not gonna defend it?
No.
Okay.
The Sabine thing is my most hated part of the whole show.
Yeah, but still, she had training. She had the training. So normally, even the Mandalorian, remember in the last season of the Mandalorian, he could not take the dark saber because he was emotionally unbalanced. For him, every swing was like a ton. So he needed to fight against the sword so that he can move the sword. So the saber.
Yeah.
So from one point of view, if you can control your emotions, this is like a one-on-one for samurai or Japanese culture in fighting skill. If you can control your emotions, you have the upper hand in that fight, in that duel, because you can play the player and you can easily take his bad moment, make it a disadvantage for that, so it's for the enemy, and then he's gone because you're gonna get one clean shot and see ya. So from one point of view, I can understand that Dave tried to play it a bit like she was unstable inside, and when she gets her stuff in order, maybe at the last she says, "Okay, I can't do it," because obviously it's like a classic writing thing. Yeah, it's the life of your friend in the game, so you need to do it. So I can understand that the overpressure that you need to do it, you overcome that so-called issue, but it was still then you need to like build it a bit, so just move stuff. Even like when they tried to open the door, riding the wolves, she was like, I said, okay, she's gonna dump one in the or something. It was like not that. I don't know. It was a bit too abrupt. To like he was just thrown in your face. Yeah, now I can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sabersmith in the chat says, feel like Ezra was the one that unlocked Sabine. And that yeah, I could see it. I don't like it, but I can see what you mean.
It's an anime style uprising, basically.
Exactly.
It's when you're in the face of danger, you all of a sudden gain the power to overcome it.
Yeah, way
Do
too
you
much
know
power.
Bucky, the anime?
No.
Bucky Hanma?
Baki? No, I haven't watched Baki yet.
Okay, it was like a moment in the anime that he did something with girlfriend, and then he was like, "I'm good."
Immediately, yeah.
In there.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah. So
Andrei, what would you kind of rate the finale and then give us an overall rating on the entire series?
The finale for me was quite good because I enjoyed the fights, and for me the troop was quite pleasing because for me, for example, having all the same old same, you die, you go to the Force, or you die, you're gone. So having the Night Sisters giving that extra spice to the culture, to the law, and how you want to call it. Everybody can use the Force how they want. Some more in the magic side, some less. It's also like who can use the Force. Some more and some less. Depends on your talent and genes and midichlorians and so on and so forth. So I kind of like that they can reuse the troopers. But what I saw, obviously, that the troopers were a bit slower after they died again. So practically every time that they died, they were like, yeah, I think they wanted to emphasize that they're gonna downgrade from movement and so on.
Yeah.
And even the two zombies practice that they were like the direct, how you want to call it, like the, what were the name? Dark troopers or night troopers?
Purge troopers.
Sorry?
The ones that Sabine and Ezra were fighting were purge troopers.
Yeah. The two ones that practically she like take the saber and
Yep.
But yeah, you know what I mean. So the two guys at the end, they were like a bit more interesting because they were like dead. So I would have kind of loved to see how the troopers were like inside the trooper armor to have like a bit more perspective. Are they like they were gone, or they were like humans and then just came back when they sacrificed practically after they got killed from the three of them in the side of the temple. So that was a bit more like what I wanted to see.
Didn't one of them have a broken helmet and you could see he was like a zombie inside it?
Yeah, but that was the
that was one of those purge troopers.
Yeah,
exactly. So the one in the white, they were like patched up, and you could have seen that they had some scars, battle scars, and so on. Yeah. But I kind of so like I said, told you, I kind of like the way that they can be reused because then gives a bit more emphasis on being a trooper. Then you can be reused, not like the clones. You're one and done, and you're good to go. So I kind of like that, and I hope that they're going to expand a bit more on that. But I would also like to see a bit what the magic and the so-called magic requires from the mothers so that they can do this. So they're like just gonna reamp the soul, or they're just gonna like take the soul from somebody else and reuse it. Like something like Chainsaw Man and Mikasa. No, Mikasa. How was the name?
Like the Lich King and
yeah, something like that. So practically that they now the body needs to die so that they can be reused again. Because so practically if the mothers can wake up the troopers again and then just can make Mother Talvin's sword in plein air, what's the limitation of their magic? Because now the Chimera's full of coffins, they're going with him to the known galaxy. So the idea is that maybe they're really going to go full dark and full magic on this. And if you're gonna take like this, if you don't know how to kill these types of troopers, then obviously you're gonna have a bit of a problem at the start.
Yeah.
Scourge will take over Finto.
Yeah. What happens?
Thrawn can show up by himself. Just like I said, he can show up by himself. Start amassing an army.
He's not by himself though, is he?
He's got his sisters to amass the army.
Yeah. Big Walking Dead Star Wars edition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
we're all infected.
Ahsoka, yeah, I would give it Ahsoka like an 8.5. A bit up, but yeah, kind of enjoyed it. The finale was a bit low. It's like a 7-ish, 7.5 for me. But for calling like that was a good. It's a good show to watch. So let's say like that. It's a good show to watch if you're gonna binge it. Yeah, you might be gonna say, nah, it was a bit cringe, or maybe that moment is a bit bad. But overall, it's a good watch. That's my important piece.
Yeah, I think I'll binge it around Christmas time and give it a proper go. Like kind of watch 3 or 4 episodes in a sitting and see how it flows. I think I saw. I don't know if you've seen the dude Kai Patterson. I brought him up on the podcast a few times. He made an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie out of the show and turned it into a fantastic piece of content. Like the movie is incredible. Cannot recommend watching the movie enough. Like he has a 4K version.
I know Disney took it down for a while.
He's a little smarter about how he's sharing it now, but yeah, you're able to get it, no problem. And he recently put out a 4K version with subtitles and everything like that. So highly recommend it, because I think every time he does a new version of it, he slightly changes it too and adds a few pieces here and there. So yeah, I can't recommend it anymore. But he's going to do an Ahsoka
link
movie
in the
as well.
Discord, would you?
Yes, I will indeed. And just Chillin as well. Put a comment up here just talking about a video that he did. So if you want to throw that video link in the comments below after the live finishes, Chillin, by all means do, guys. Make sure you go check out that video.
Okay.
I
mean, I'm not trying to dominate with all my explanations I have.
No. That's what the nerds are here to see. That's what they want. We want to go deep.
There's one thing I do want to say about Ahsoka before we switch subjects, though.
Yeah.
It has to do with a lot of people feeling like they needed to do homework in order to understand the show and not liking that.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that, but given the situation currently that the brand is in, I feel like Dave knows that without his core audience, normies aren't going to do shit unless the core audience brings them in. So I feel like he wrote Ahsoka for the core audience, because unless the core audience somehow gets excited again, normies aren't going to come in until we get excited. That's how the Infinity Saga blew up.
Exactly.
Like the comic sweaties got like nerd boners everywhere as loud as they could in public, and the normies are like, well, fuck, if they're that excited, maybe we should go check this out. And then they're like, damn, this shit is dope. And all the billions and billions that the Infinity Saga made. I think Ahsoka was more Dave's love letter to the core fan base, and he's going to worry about normies later.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. My girlfriend's a very kind of normie fan, and I kind of explained after one of the episodes, I sat down and kind of explained the Mortis gods to her, and she was kind of like, whoa, that's crazy. That's so cool and all. And like, she would have known nothing about it if I didn't sit down and talk to her about it, So I think, and kind of that really kind of shadows on what Alex is saying at the start of the episode. Alex is kind of a normie when it comes to Star Wars. So, I think a lot of the beauty of this show kind of went over his head, and, that's not Alex's fault. I think that's just the way it is. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of people don't sit down and watch everything to do with Star Wars. So, you know what I mean? Like you're obviously going to have a different viewpoint on a show when you're missing chapters. You know what I mean? Like that's just it's the same with everything.
Of course. Yeah.
Look at my background. You saw the first 40-ish episodes.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's not exactly that the first season brought so much, but even like Chillin said and you said, is for the normies, and you're gonna get very curious what happened. And I think that the most underrated thing was the Mortis gods, because now at the end you saw the father pointing in one direction, the daughter is like destroyed, and the son is by his side. Mm-hmm. So for normie, I don't know if that's going to be something like interesting, but because we know what those statues have to do with the Force, then we know that some big things are going to happen.
Big time. big time.
Exactly, and just because the father, when was the Mortis arc in the Clone Wars was very interesting because they also used the Force in a magic style. They didn't just use the Force as a Force.
Yeah.
So they could
Mhm.
use the Force, but they can also make transfiguration. They could also make other stuff with it.
So you know the way in the Clone Wars, Anakin goes into like he has that whole arc with the Mortis gods. Is that him actually on this planet? Because this is like the planet of the Mortis gods. So he somehow
This is the
traveled
thing.
there,
I have no
or is it
idea.
just visions? Like I don't really know. I'm not that
So-
sweaty on Clone Wars.
Well,
Okay, so
from
go
from
to
Legends, from Legends, Mortis is where they fled to after they turned after they created Abeloth out of the lady.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people right now are thinking, well, a lot of, including Josh, I'm sure you've
Yeah.
heard him gushing about how Abeloth's coming back.
Yeah.
So like, and he's not the only one I've heard talk about it. A lot of people think that Peridia is the first place the Mortis gods were, and then when they when they let Abeloth become Abeloth, they're like, nah, fam, and then they jumped to our galaxy and settled on Mortis.
Interesting.
But the creation of Abeloth is still in Legends. It's not canon yet. But that's what happened in Legends.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot to take in.
It is. And before we move on to Loki, I'll just kind of give my kind of final thoughts on Ahsoka.
Go for it.
I'll talk. I'll try and be
Myself
as
shut up.
positive. I'll be as positive as I can for the start of it. But look, yeah, look, you know, I make the thumbnails for the episodes. I put in the young Ahsoka in the thumbnail because honestly, the first half of the season up to that point of the flashbacks and everything, I think was definitely the better part of the season. I really enjoyed the flashback episode, not just because I'm a massive fucking Anakin nerd and I love Hayden Christensen. It's more to the fact that like I felt like that had a lot more kind of relevance to the storytelling and kind of Ahsoka's growth and her kind of journey. And then I kind of feel like after episode 5, episode 6 was good, and then I kind of felt like the show just completely fell off. I really think, you know, as much as we all praise Dave, I think he flopped the finale. I think it was really pretty fucking bad. Like there was a lot that I didn't like about the finale, but for the most part, even like going back and thinking about episodes 1, 2, 3, like they were fine. They were enjoyable. You know, I enjoyed watching Ahsoka find the map and all the stuff. The introduction of Balin and Shin, that was all great. The kind of nods to, you know, Phantom Menace and all this sort of stuff. I was loving it. Like I was like, this is like Dave doing what he does best. He's like making, like, you know, he's tipping his cowboy hat to all the OG fans, and I was loving it. I was loving every minute of it. And I was just really surprised. And even like episode 7 was okay. Again, it was a kind of drop off, but it was still fine. Like it was okay. I didn't hate it, but I felt it kind of like going in a downward trajectory. And then when we get to the finale, I was really shocked with what I watched. I just couldn't believe, especially with someone who we claim that Dave is the savior of Star Wars. I kind of got the feeling that he let me down with that finale. Anyway, I'll just say that, you know, loved all the Anakin stuff. Seeing him at the very end was nice, but then at the same time, I hated that he didn't even speak or anything. He was kind of just standing there. I was kind of like, oh, I would have liked to see a bit more. Or maybe if they were going to do him just standing somewhere, I would have loved to have seen him like standing behind Luke or something, you know? Just get that body double who's don't do the whole CGI deep fake shit. Just get the stand in to just be kind of sitting where he was training Grogu or something like that. You know what I mean? And then just have Anakin standing behind Luke. That probably would have been more impactful for me. My girlfriend's in the chat here, sheds tear. Like she thinks that I was like actually full blown crying. I got upset, not upset. I got emotional because seeing Hayden back and like actually fighting and stuff, it was incredible. I loved every second of it. And then I went straight after episode 5, I went and watched Theory's reaction of that same episode because I knew he was going to cry. And when I saw Theory getting upset, I got a little upset. I didn't cry when I was watching the episode myself, but when I saw Theory getting a little upset, I got a little upset as well because I I relate to Theory a lot because we're around the same age. We grew up with Star Wars at the same time, and I genuinely feel that, you know, I'm as equal of a fan of the prequels and stuff as he is. Like I'm right there with him, and that's why I love all of his content, because I feel like if I had known him growing up, we would have been friends. Genuinely, like I genuinely believe that. Like I think we're just on the same page with Star Wars. So I don't know, when I see him getting upset, it kind of hits me a little bit as well. So that shit was all incredible to me. Loved it, but the finale was not great. And to be honest, you know, I know Balin probably had to be cut because they, you know, had to, you know, phase Ray out of the show, unfortunately. You know, incredible job. We've been speaking about him already. Like I won't even kind of mention his performance. We all know he was incredible. I really feel like, you know, real world politics got involved in that, and it was just, they just phased him out, and it kind of felt wrong. It felt bad to me, you know, like the last, like, you know, we've spent 8 episodes following him and his story, and the last thing we see is just him standing on top of the statue. Obviously, it's amazing that it's the statue of the father, but for anybody, like my girlfriend in the chat, she doesn't know who the father is. She doesn't know what the statue is. She's like, oh, that's a cool looking statue that he's standing in front of. I don't even think she even made a comment about the statue anyway. You know what I mean? Probably me going, oh my God, it's the thing. I did not cry. She was probably just like, I probably said, oh, the father. And she was probably sitting there looking at me like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, so I just feel like there was a lot, like so much about the finale that I just didn't like. Sabine is the main thing. I felt that she powered up way too much, way too fast. I think if she was training for 10 years, she shouldn't be as powerful as she is in this finale. Like in episode 1, the first thing, like one of the first things that Ahsoka says to her is like, have you been training? And she says no. You know, so it's like okay, so you haven't been training. And you know, we get to the point where we're at the end of the last episode. So I think it was episode 2 or 3. I can't remember. Where was the one where she was the end of episode 2 or episode 3 where she was trying to move the cup? So she couldn't even move a cup, right? She was like sitting there trying her hardest, couldn't even shake a cup. I think that was episode 3.
Yeah.
And then obviously everything that happens in episode 4. So by the end of episode 4, she gives up the map. She resists. She goes to the next galaxy. Episode 5, 6, 7. How much time really is passing? A week? Less? A day? 2 days? Like there's not a lot of time.
A few hours.
It could have been hours. You're right. It could have been. So there's no time passing, right? And she couldn't move a cup, right? And I understand adrenaline and everything, fair enough. But she goes from not being able to move a cup, right? When, you know, Ahsoka's talking about her Jedi training and, you know, she should really be trying her hardest to move that cup. And she can't even shake the cup, like tip it or anything. Then let's say for argument's sake, a week later, she is now blocking blaster bullets with her lightsaber. She's force pushing or force throwing fucking Ezra, and like she's able to fight with a lightsaber. Like it's ridiculous. And then she was like, I got a laugh at the start of the episode when, you know, when they were all trying to force open the door and Sabine puts her hands up. I'm like, what's she gonna do? You know what I mean? And then the door opens. And obviously, I was like, yeah, that was Ezra. And Ahsoka, that had nothing to do with her. But now I'm like, maybe that was Ezra. Or like, maybe that was her. I don't know. And I don't know. Like, it's just, it really annoyed me how good she was just out of nowhere. It just, and, you know, I understand people in the chat are saying, well, maybe like her reuniting with Ezra kind of ignited that. But I understand maybe she might be able to shake the cup after reintroducing herself to Ezra, but being able to like block blasters and all this sort of stuff, like take Luke for example. Like Luke is, you know, raw like talent in the Force. You know what I mean? Like he's the son of Anakin, the chosen one, and even him when he's like learning to block blaster bullets and all this sort of stuff, he can't really do it. And you know, he's getting shot with like from the training droids and all that sort of stuff. And then, you know, we go to episode 5 and he's about to be eaten by a monster and he's barely trying to like grab the hilt. You know what I mean? Like it's shaking in the snow. He's like about to die. So like you would think adrenaline is at its absolute peak and he just about gets it. You know, that's his skill before he goes to Yoda. So you're telling me like Sabine has a greater connection to the Force than Luke at that point?
It's
and
not
then
about that. Wait, Finto, it's not about that. She had Kanan at the start in the Rebels.
Yeah, but
she had
I'm going to
Ahsoka
stop
for a
you.
lot of time.
But then Hu Yang literally said at the start of the episode that
she sucks.
She is the lowest Force user in the entire order that he has ever seen, and he's been around for hundreds of years.
Yes,
So
I know.
you know what I mean?
I know.
She's
And
an F Jedi.
I can
But
understand.
can we also
I can
agree that
understand.
she's a Vizsla? So practically she's a descendant of the Mandalorian Jedi?
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a reach, though, bro. To be honest.
Yo, I'm good at reaching.
Yeah,
If
and I
it
think
brings a
Star
point
Wars,
and it makes Alex happy, I'm good.
Star Wars love to reach, right? And you know, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. You know what I mean? If you want to make a small connection and you know thrust a character to the front of you know, I would say realistically, they probably at the start of the show were like, "Oh, we'll make her that she doesn't have any powers." Like even when she's fighting Shin, and Shin's like, "You have no power." Like, do you know what I mean? And that was cool. That was amazing. I love that when she shot the rockets. I was like, "This is epic." I was like, I was like thinking when I was watching that, if she force pushes her back, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind. I'm gonna be like, no, you know. But then she does the trick out and like you know brings back the whole Mandalorian thing. I was like, perfect, Dave, you get it, bro. It's perfect, right?
Yeah.
But then now in this episode, she's force pushing. She's fucking blocking shit with lightsabers. It was kind of like they were waiting to see would she be a liked character. And then maybe they did a couple of screenings, go, yeah, this is the one. We go forward with her. She's the new Rey or whatever. And then it's like, okay, full send it. She's a Jedi. She's a Jedi. You know, it's like, bro, it didn't work for me. It really annoyed me. You know, I think if they wanted to jump forward in time and she'd spent a couple of years training and then we get to see her as she is, I would say still a bit of a stretch, but okay, I'll believe it. Fine. But this just like overnight fucking Jedi Knight shit is crazy to me. Crazy.
So Finto, you know that moment that you were talking about where she couldn't move the cup?
Yeah.
How fucking hilarious would it have been if she still couldn't move anything? But like, okay, so let me pull this back a sec. So during the scene where she's like starting to use her force powers and she's telling Ezra like, jump, I'll push you forward.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like they've done this in the past, and it's like, where the fuck did that come from? I think it would have served better if she couldn't do it, but she had a grappling hook similar to like the stuff that they have for like Mandalorian gear.
Love all that,
and
bro.
In which case, like she just hands it to him, is like, just propel yourself as far as you can. Use this. Yeah. You'll get there. I promise you. It's a trusted weapon. Like literally make us feel like Mandalorian weaponry is still useful to Sabine.
Yeah.
And that she's entrusting it to Ezra, because I think that would be
great.
It would have served a better connection.
Would have been great. And the bit where she picked up, she force grabbed the hilt. I think I don't know who was talking about this. It might have been Josh or Theory, one of them. But they were saying like, you know, the camera should have panned and it should have been Ezra pushing it to her rather than her actually force grabbing it. And it would have been like, you know, again, kind of like a cop out where you think, oh shit, she's actually getting the force. And then it's like, oh no, wait, no, it's Ezra helping her. That would have been great. That would have been, or if she used like the grapple to grab the lightsaber, it's like she's intertwining her Mandalorian with the Jedi training that she's getting. That would have been great. I would have loved that. But it was a light switch, bro. It was just like she was powerless to fucking 5-year Padawan in the space of 10 minutes. It was outrageous to me, bro.
I think what would have...
I can agree.
I think what would have served a better purpose, and I think this would have made us both laugh like incredibly hard, Finto, is if at the end of the entire series for like this first season, we see Ezra look at some of the rocks, and then it just plays out similar to at the end of X-Men 3.
Yeah.
She puts her hands out and it moves like an inch, and then it goes credits.
Honestly, bro. Honestly, if for the whole show, if nothing happened with Sabine for the whole show except she was just a Mandalorian who had a lightsaber on her belt, and then at the very end, you know, where they're stuck and we see Anakin watching her, if she just like kind of moved a stone or something and then it went to credits, that would have been cool.
It would have, but I would have been laughing because I would have been thinking about that X-Men scene.
I know.
I have an idea. What would you say? Because at the end of the series, Anakin was there. She said, "I feel something."
Yeah, I thought that was another thing.
Wait.
How did Ahsoka not feel it? Go on, anyway. Sorry.
What if Anakin was doing the whole Force thing?
Oh,
because she was helping Sabine, because it's the Padawan of his Padawan. But Dave is gonna like drop it maybe next season, or because now she's with Sabine on Peridia. So practically, if the lore and the Force and the gods and the Mortis gods and so on is true, then Anakin should be way more, how do you want to put it? He has more consciousness on Peridia because he can move there freely. because the Force is there way more concentrated, like it said, and he also helped Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So what if? It's a big if. It's a big if, like a mountain of if. But if he did all the Force thing, and they're just gonna drop it next season in the first episode, what would you think about that?
Yeah, I would prefer that to her actually having the Force. That Anakin
Okay,
was
just
like
a
channeling
second,
it through her.
I'm gonna
That'd
call
be great.
Dave. Just give me one.
Yeah, that's fine. You've just written a better story than Disney wrote. Well done. It took you fucking 2 minutes.
Like
it's
WandaVision.
insane.
It was Anakin the whole time.
Yeah, that. Honestly, yeah, like that's probably a better point than where they're probably going with it. I hope, Dave. I hope you're listening. I'm sorry, I love you. I don't mean to talk shit about your show, but it hasn't.
It's good. It's good.
Before we're going to move on to Loki, but I just want to bring up this comment here just before we go. So George said that everybody can use the Force to varying degrees, and I fully agree. But when Hu Yang says that she is the least powerful Padawan that he's ever seen in his life, I don't think that the least powerful Padawan that he's ever seen in his life should be able to like force throw people and block laser bullets after 10 minutes of picking up a lightsaber. It just doesn't really add up to me.
Did he say least powerful or just worst?
I think he said
the
like
Metachlorian count.
like he mentioned like he was talking about her
Okay.
power levels. He's never seen such a low power level. And then it goes from that to this in the space of a couple of days or hours, or I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, a couple of weeks at most.
Chillin, maybe is there like do we know like a normal standard what a normal Jedi should have in midichlorian count? Because obviously I know something like a rough number in my head, something 25,000 ish wasn't Anakin, or I don't know, he was like
That was Anakin.
peak.
Yeah, well, Anakin was like had more than Yoda, right? So
Exactly.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I don't know, but like I know they've always said in Legends that like Obi-Wan Kenobi had like the lowest level for a master, but then it was kind of again, it's similar to what we're saying about the Force powers. It's like there's a certain level of talent, there's a certain level of training, and obviously Obi-Wan knew that he didn't have that raw talent, so he had to train his ass off for it.
Yeah.
And that I obviously respect that, and I think that's a very clever way of really kind of using the power scale. And that really just shows you how amazing Obi-Wan was. Just the fact that he didn't have that raw kind of like force power, but he was still a master on the council. Like crazy, amazing. Okay, guys, we've been talking for over an hour and we haven't even talked about Loki yet. We got to talk about Gen B as well. We're gonna be here all night.
I'm good. I'm gonna go at work at 5 a.m. So
You're insane,
can
bro.
stay.
You're insane. It's like 12:30 in the morning for you, right?
Yeah, baby.
You're wild. Wild.
Did you get your sleep beforehand?
No,
bit.
he's insane.
A little bit.
He's insane, bro. I can't function on like less than 6 hours, and bros fucking doing podcasts and hanging out in chats and everything, and then like I'm up for work at like 3 hours. I'm like, how are you even alive?
Oh, it's monster drinks,
Yeah, caffeine.
Yeah, caffeine all day.
Yeah.
eating good, eating
right, guys.
healthy. I don't know.
Let's do it.
All of the
Loki,
above.
season 2, episode 1. I'll start with you again, Alex. Talk to me. Give me your first thoughts on the season. What do we think? Episode 1.
I think that it's a little slow at the beginning, but it starts to ramp up near the end. And so to kind of break that down, like it seems like there was a lot of perspective amongst like with Loki trying to understand where he's at, which is good. I think it just took a little bit longer than it should have. I think it should have like sped up a little bit so that we can get to the point where they need to fix Loki. And then basically set up the end of the episode to where like, okay, well now what kind of situation. It finished well. I think it did. It's just the first half I would say is like the weaker point. But I can't remember who that one security guard guy was, and I think it was just the weirdest addition that they made to have like some douchebag security guard just like, literally he's like doing this the whole time, and I'm like, all right, well this guy's
X5.
gonna be an asshole. X5, yeah, and like I don't know if we saw him in the first season. I don't recall seeing him in the first season.
No.
I think that they should have introduced this character in the first season because I don't care about him now, because right now we're dealing with a crisis. I don't care about another security guard getting screen time for whatever reason. I think whatever characters you had at the first season are the characters that are concrete for the second season. And any additional characters that you add have to be higher ups. I don't care about the grunt work. And so that's where I sit. So like in terms of those higher ups, it still didn't hit very hard because there was one guy who acted like he didn't give a shit that the whole place is starting to go down. And I know that they're trying to do it in terms of like silliness, but for once in your goddamn life, can you please just do one episode where it's just all serious and just make it like we're in a crisis and this dude's like napping, and like I can't take that. Like once we got to the second half where things really started to pick up because we had Ouroboros, we had the technology that needed to pull Loki back into the proper like timeline without having him like time slip between the past and present and even the future, which I think that should be an acquired power now. I think that like I hope that he didn't lose it. I hope it becomes something that he can eventually reattain so that he can manipulate things for the past, present, and future, because I think that would be a fantastic thing for the season itself. Imagine being within a different universe, like going through different like strands of the multiverse, and then finding out that something already happened. And so you have to go back in time and find out like how to fix that, or you have to find out like what you can do to manipulate it, which I think is partially what they're going to try to do, considering that they go into like a past universe, or it could just be a present timeline. It just hasn't evolved as well as like the other timelines kind of situation. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so overall, like I would say the show did well. Like Katie was laughing. She had a good time. There were a few jokes in there that I thought were pretty good. Like I said, the first half, I didn't need it to be silly. The second half, absolutely you can be as silly as you want because it's like, we're reaching that point like, okay, we could fix it. So let's be silly about it. In which case, like your skin will rip off and whatnot. And I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, like the first part, I don't need to be told, like, I don't need to be looked at like, oh, you need to laugh at this. You need to laugh at the security guard doing this. You need to laugh at X5. You need to laugh at these, upper level people who don't give a fuck about what's going on. They just want things to return to the time. It's like the two that were in there that were practically, actually giving a shit. One being scared, the other one being like demanding. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Third guy could have done without. Like I'm reiterating, I'm kind of going in a loop, but like basically I give the episode I give it a good 8. I think it did really well. The like Ouroboros, I knew it was going to be, God, I can't pronounce his name, but like I knew that they were going to pull that guy. As soon as I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, I was like, that guy's going to be cast, he's going to be cast type. Like they're going to put him everywhere now. And so seeing him in this show, it's like, man, they got him pretty quick.
Yeah. Chillin, talk to me.
It's Ki Kwan, by the way, Alex.
Ki Kwan?
I loved it. I thought that Ki Kwan, yeah. I thought that episode was fire. Ki Kwan, yeah. Short round. I really hope someone, for whatever reason, can force him to say Dr. Jones in this show one time.
Yeah. Of course they're gonna do that.
Like some random dude walks in like some white lab coat and he's like, "Oh, this is Dr. Jones," and I'll be like,
"Yeah, they did it. They did the thing. Yeah. Absolutely."
But yeah, no, I loved it. I love the fact that they picked up literally right where season 1 ended, like right there. I thought I enjoyed the time slipping. I liked the preparation for where they're kind of going to go, giving us more history of the TVA. I think they've flat out told us the TVA is not outside of time. King's been fucking around. I feel like it's in the same kind of pocket dimension the Council of Kings chill out in. You know what I mean? but yeah, I just enjoyed the episode overall. Both the serious tone. Tom Hiddleston really brought the desperation that Loki was in to life. Like when he was trying to figure out why the hell no one knew him and all that stuff and started a time slip. I think he carried that off really, really well. Yes. Into the future.
That's
But,
all I heard whenever they were talking about time slipping.
Sorry, I had to read that up. I was
You
like,
know
how
what?
dare
I
you, bro?
can't even blame you on that one, dude. I really can't. But just the fact that the way they messed with what is that called? Some kind of causality. I can't remember the first word. But basically when Loki was implanting memories in OB after he time slipped back.
Mhm.
Like he's the one, all of a sudden OB was his idea, and then he enjoyed being called OB. He got him to make the machine they needed to yank his little bits of everything out of all the timelines and create just one Loki now that's in the TVA. And him just like, wait, I did. I've never done that
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Wait, I did. Comes up with a machine. Reverse causality. That's what it is. Basically the same kind of thing Cameron messed with in Terminator. But I thought they handled that really well. I'd give this episode a 9. I loved it, and it set stuff up that I'm like super excited for going down the line too. So yeah, we're back to peak Disney Plus Marvel, at least for now. We'll see how the rest of the show goes.
I think it's wild,
And-
Alex. Alex, were you here when we reviewed Loki season 1? Were you on the podcast then?
Yes. I think I was reaching after after WandaVision. I think I was starting to pop in.
So, am I right in remembering I was the only one who liked Loki when season 1 was on?
Yes.
Yeah. Everyone hated Loki on this podcast except for me. And I thought I was insane for liking season 1 of the show. I was like, what the fuck? But now I suppose, and I think it's because phase 4 and phase 5 have been so shit that people are going back and rewatching Loki and going, holy shit, this show's actually really good. Or the bar's been lowered now. And now it's like, okay, this is actually good. And I think that's happening a lot for me with some of the more recent Marvel projects. When you see Ant-Man and like Quantumania, and you see the likes of Miss Marvel and all these shows, which in my opinion were fucking terrible. Like, I think you go back and you start watching stuff like Eternals and Shang-Chi and stuff, and you're like, oh, okay, this is good. This is really good. But I wonder, is it good, or is it just that the bar is lowered now? Because if you were to watch like Eternals straight after watching Infinity War, you'd be like, this is bullshit. You know what I mean? That the bar was so high, and now it's kind of we're back down to kind of normal levels, let's say.
Do you think that they did it on purpose or what?
No, I just think that it's just the way it's gone. And I don't know if they had, when they had made these plans to have something new on Disney Plus nearly every week of the year, did they just think that people were just going to eat it up because it was Marvel and then they got lazy and just started spreading out the funds left and right? It could have only really gone one way. You know what I mean? Like, I think if they were trying to keep it as epic as it was around Infinity War and Endgame, they would have stripped back projects instead of adding projects on. I think they just kind of went into a whole kind of streaming platform idea and just wanted to churn out as much stuff as possible, and it all just had the Marvel sticker on it, so they're like, everyone will just watch it because it's Marvel. And now the numbers aren't there. Like, no one's watching this show. Like, it's crazy. The numbers are really bad for episode 1, and you know what I mean? Like, I didn't see any spoilers. I didn't watch it because obviously with time zones and stuff like that, for me, I'm probably 10 hours late watching the show from when it first goes up. And usually I have to stay off social media because I'm like, I don't want any spoilers. I know I live in a spoiler culture, but that's different to when the show's actually out. I don't want to be seeing clips from the actual episode. I don't want to be seeing like actual shit that happens in the show. I'm all about theorizing and stuff going into a show. That's different in my opinion. But usually I have to stay off social media. And on Friday, not to kind of badmouth the show or anything, but I had kind of forgotten that it was on when I was working on Friday. And then it was about 4 o'clock my time, and I was like, oh shit, we've got Loki tonight. I was like, yes, this is great. But I didn't see, and I kind of just was floating around social media and stuff on that day as if it was a normal day, and I didn't even think, oh shit, I better stay away from, I better not open up Twitter just in case I see something about Loki. You know, I was kind of just floating around online as I normally would, and I didn't see anything. So, and that just kind of proves to me straight away that the hype for this is not as big as it was before.
Yeah, but now you saw the episode. You saw what happened. So what was there to spoil? Loki's there, Mobius is there, everybody
True.
was there. So
True, but
it's
even
not
still,
exactly that we gotta be a lot of lore dump that you need to absolutely theorize what happened. So
yeah. No, I understand. I understand. Like I and that's how I kind of felt about the episode, Andre. While I can acknowledge that the show was a good episode, not a crazy amount actually happened in the episode. You know, there was some good comedy. Like my girlfriend in the chat was talking about the elevator scene. We both had a great laugh at that because the
That was
camera just
really
pans to the camera pans to the right. The poor girl's just standing there in the corner, and she's like,
Yeah.
what's that look like for you?"
So
I was like, "This is hilarious." And to be honest, like straight away, as to kind of back up what Chillin was saying, like the show just kind of like took off exactly where season 1 ended. Like the relationship between Morbius and Tom Hiddleston, like Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, like they're both incredible together, and like straight away they just start both just bouncing off each other perfectly, and it's incredible. It's an absolute delight to watch. But yeah, like I don't think a crazy amount of stuff happened. Like the whole time slipping thing was fun. I think they probably could have and should have maybe kept it going for a little longer and kind of resolving that issue in the first episode. I think it would have been kind of cool to see him, and I thought that was how it was going to work. Was, you know, in the trailers we're seeing him going back in time and stuff. I thought maybe, you know, the time slips were going to go on for so long that they were going to start lasting longer, and then, like, you know, he'd get stuck in the past for a couple of hours, and then he'd have to go and like find the older version of Owen Wilson, and then, you know, maybe try and interact with him a little bit, and then get pulled back just before like they complete a mission in the past. He gets pulled back again or something. I thought that would have been fun. So I'm kind of a little disappointed that the slipping's gone already. I don't know. That's just me.
yeah, but then you need to think like this. If there's so many branches, it's gonna be very difficult to keep the time slipping, because practically now they're gonna somehow need to fix the thread. So now, because the time loop, because he said the time loop is not retrofitted for the all new branches. So practically now, even this timeline wants to make a big thread from the sacred timeline. So from one point of view, it's good that they start with the time slipping, because if he would have gone in a timeline that it was gonna go through the time loop, then he's like a be gone. But the only thing that I cannot understand, so he's gonna be taken from out of time from that point when he got pruned, or because he said all of time. So that means what happened to him in the earlier Marvel movies? What's that gonna be about? So it's kind of a bit of a time paradox, if you want.
Yeah, like I think isn't it kind of, it's kind of implied now that the version of him that maybe we saw die at the hands of Thanos, maybe that is now alive. Like, are they pulling like all versions of Loki into one?
That's my point.
But if that's the case, then they've already destroyed their whole like story with Sylvie, because Sylvie is a version of Loki.
Well, yeah, she's a different variant though, right? Like they didn't mash all the variants into one, did they? So like
that was the implication.
So like there's no like alligator Loki or anything. Like
they should all be gone. Yeah, they should all be gone. If that's the case.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
So then practically, because OB said he's going to be taken out of time, but this was practically the thing that I didn't understand. Is going to be like from all the variants, or from this Loki in particular, because practically there are infinite amounts of Lokis. So I don't think if that was explained properly, or maybe they're gonna go over it next episode. I don't know. But yeah, that was a point.
It's valid, bro. It's a valid thought. I don't know, honestly, either. Like, I don't think that makes much sense. Like, there's different versions of Loki. Like, there's a black Loki, there's an alligator Loki, there's an old man Loki, like, you know, classic Loki. How are they all going to merge into Tom Hiddleston? That doesn't make any sense.
Because he would be the Nexus point.
They're going to talk about
so you're making Loki a Nexus being, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, in the sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
Which I
think they're
believe-
gonna be just about this variant in particular. I think.
Yeah, I took it as just this variant, this version of Loki, just getting kind of pieced back together. I thought that was the whole point of it, but maybe you're right, Andre. I don't know.
I don't know.
What, Chillin, talk to us. What do you think? I know you've nerded out on this.
What about Loki being reformed?
Yeah, like it's just
What?
that mean
Like,
that
'cause-
all of the previous versions, like every Loki that we met in the last episode, are they all just gone now? Is that what that means? Kid Loki,
well,
everything,
I don't know
all gone?
because they were in the those guys were in the void at the end of time. I feel like they're still probably there unless like Eliath just went off wherever after Sylvie mind jumbled him. But from what I understood, Loki was time slipping because his stuff was spread out all over the multiverse, and if it kept happening, he was going to end up being, basically molecular dust all over the multiverse. So they had to stop the time slipping and yank them all into one spot right there in the TVA in order to keep him existing.
Just that one
That-
Loki, though, right?
That makes more sense.
Just the one Loki now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes more
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, that's
Thanks for
the way
clearing
I
that up.
understood it. Basically,
it was a bit vague though, and I think Andre, you're right.
Who was it? I think it was Ryan Airy gave this analogy or metaphor. Basically, what they did with Loki was they took Loki was essentially like metal dust scattered all over the multiverse, like so basically a bunch of dust mixed in with a haystack. And that machine was basically a magnet that literally yanked every last bit of him that was scattered all over. Now he's
Into one.
there's
spot,
one Loki. There's
Gotcha.
no Lokis in the multiverse anymore. He's just the one in the TVA.
So are you saying like that variant of Loki or all the Lokis?
We're back to square one.
That's the only. That's the only Loki in the TVA is now the only one in the entire multiverse anywhere.
So then Sylvie's gone.
No.
But we
Did you not
saw
see the
Sylvia
after, Did you
then.
not see the after credit scene?
So it doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah, she's a different variant.
Yeah,
suppose.
I don't. Know.
I think
don't know about
I
the
think
Sylvie
Chillin
part.
what you were saying. I think Chillin what you were saying previously makes more sense to us than it being all variants. I think having him being sprinkled
that
across
one variant in all
different
the
like
multiverse.
universes, like that makes sense.
Yeah.
But if it's all the variants, then that means they've all basically been disintegrated, and only Loki remains.
Yeah, I think the
So-
dust
I
analogy.
gotta
and
rewatch.
They
I gotta rewatch
hoovered
the
him up.
episode
They hoovered him
anyway.
up, basically. That's the way I think. They hoovered him up and spat him out as one little pile of dust.
They
I would
dumped up
prefer
the dust
that.
bag, and there he was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes more sense to me rather than him being now an Nexus being. That doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense. I don't like that.
It's tough to say. Like again, I agree with Chillin. We'll have to rewatch it, just to see like exactly what they said about the whole process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All I know for sure is like they needed to do that to stop the time slipping in order because too much time slipping would have erased him out of existence completely. Like he'd have just been
Right.
Yeah. Did you like the fact because like I suppose at the end of season 1, I always kind of interpreted what happened is he went to like a different timeline or something because no one knew who he was, right? And do you like
Yep.
the fact that it was just a time jump rather? So he's back in like Earth 1, we'll call it, but it's just he went back in time and he hadn't met Morbius yet. Like, do you prefer that, or would you have liked it to be like a different universe? Because the way, like, you see like the Kang statues and all, and you're like, oh shit, like this is Kang the Conqueror and all. Like, this seems like Earth 2 sort of situation. Do you like how they did
Yeah.
it, or would you?
No,
have
I
preferred
actually
to be a
thought it
different
was-
way?
No, I thought it was pretty slick, and it also helped explain like why Mobius, Jesus, fuck Morbius, fuck that movie.
They're-
Anyway,
The names are too close, bro. I make the same mistake all the time.
yeah,
Go on,
but
sorry.
no, it was a great explanation as to why Mobius and everybody else had no idea that the timekeepers were fake, even though they'd been staring. Obviously, at one point in time, had been staring at statues of Kang. Like there were no timekeepers at the point Loki jumped back to. So that like reinforced the point they made at the end of season 1 that He Who Remains has been in there mind wiping these people over and over and over again.
Yeah.
For his own personal continuity's sake. So I liked the fact that that ended up being the past rather than another. But yeah, I thought he was in another universe. I'm like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. I really thought that was because again, if you think back to when Loki was new, like it was kind of one of the first introductions to the multiverse. So I thought it would have made perfect sense. It's like, okay, he's jumped into another universe now. You know, like this is the birth of the multiverse. Here we go. Here's another universe. Like, where is he going to be? It kind of confuses me in a sense because it's like, you know, like more Mobius and stuff. He looks the exact same age. Like they didn't like de-age him at all. And like the TVA was completely different. Kang statues everywhere. Like I would love to know how far back he actually went. And I know there's the line in the show where like Mobius always says, like, you know, time works differently down here. But it's like I hope they kind of explain how old he actually is, or if they can calculate it somehow, because I would like to know that, because I'm kind of like, you know, Loki's jumping back and forward and back and forward, and like none of the cast are changing at all. You know, like they're not changing hairstyles,
At least
not changing
400,
anything.
because that's how long Obi said it was since he visited him.
Yeah, 400 years exactly. Yeah, so
that's at a minimum.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
And why does Obi remember that visit? Has he did he somehow get? That's one of the things that actually I was like, what the hell is this? It's like he hasn't had his mind wiped. Like he's the only one who hasn't had his mind wiped. And again, he never comes out of his little hole. So he almost kind of doesn't need to. Yeah. I just thought the fact that he was, well, basically he's R2. He's the only one that's seen all of it, kinda.
Exactly. Yeah. I was gonna say he's kind of like he keeps the archives up to date or something, because it's like, you know, they need to have one person who remembers everything to catalog it all or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, but then that means he has something with Timely. He has a connection with Timely. Exactly, with the Kang variant.
Possibly. Yeah.
Could.
Possibly.
Very well could.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see a lot more of the show. Do we know how many episodes there are this season? Is it 6 or is it more?
6.
Oh, good question.
6.
6.
Yeah.
Why 6?
I know 6 is the
like
worst.
The first one, yeah.
6 is the worst because like
such bullshit.
Because like as well, like
I'll tell you, the first season
really irritates me. It really irritates me when you know there's 6 and it's going to happen. I guarantee you. We'll sit down and talk about it one of the weeks, and we'll be like, "How dare they put a filler episode in here when it's only 6?" You know, it's like, get to the fucking point. Like keep it busy. Like, you know, we've had season 1 of the show. This is season 2 now, and like, you know, just get going straight away. Just go. We don't need to fucking tell the story of who anybody is. Just get into the action. Just get going. You know what I mean?
You don't want to know who X5 is?
I don't care, bro. Just stop. I don't care.
Something.
X5 has things to do, because he's gonna show up in the past when they're going after Victor Timely. He's the one that Loki's shadows are holding against the wall in that one scene from the trailer. That's him.
Yeah.
So he's actually got shit to do.
Yeah, like I'll let you know. I just, you know, let it happen. Like I'm curious, of course, but I don't know. I feel like some parts of this episode feel a little slow, and I'm kind of thinking, like, why is it slow? Like, why are we not just kind of jumping straight the fuck into it? Like, you know, I don't know. I'm not shitting on it. Like, it was a good episode. It was a good episode.
No, it was good. It was good.
To be completely fair, I think they need to.
Anytime
really
you get timey-wimey, you're like almost required extra exposition.
Yeah, exactly. You know? And I really think that they can advance on this or expand a lot better by not having to pick out different heroes or villains within like the entire Marvel universe that we've known so far, like the MCU. So what I'm saying by this is, like, I would love to see a Spider-Man in this show, but not Tom Holland Spider-Man. I would love to see it from a different universe. I don't care, like, because if you think about it, if there's a Loki variant that's a female that looks completely different from Loki, then why can't we have a universe where the heroes look different because of things that they've gone through or things that they've done? You know, not everyone is born the same way, and that's the whole idea about the multiverse. There's strands that eventually reach, and they're like nearly 1-to-1, albeit like a few things that happen here and there. But there are, if you've seen like the way the strands work, they've also intercrossed. So there's points in time where it actually happens the exact same way. It's just done in a different timeline. So, like, why not have a little fun with it? Why not showcase like different things, like showcase a different Spider-Man, showcase a different Iron Man, showcase anything. Give me a different Moon Knight. I think that would be kind of crazy. Like I want it to be a little wacky.
I think that's what Deadpool 3 is going to
I'd
be
be
all
down.
about. I think that's where the
Absolutely.
wacky's going to be.
Pretty much.
I would be
As long
so
as they
down
do it
for
better
it.
than the DC did at the end of the Flash, because that was
Oh, Jesus.
That was awful.
Oh, it was so
I
bad,
didn't
bro.
watch that movie. Not interested. Thank you.
Yeah, no, to be honest,
you're missing.
to be honest,
nothing.
I think the Flash gets a little more hate than it deserves. It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't good at all.
Right.
I mean, I
Um,
don't hate it. Like I hate
Yeah.
Love and Thunder, and I hate Quantumania. I don't hate the Flash,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was not good. It was not good, and it got way overhyped for
Yeah.
what it
You
ended up
think?
being by everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, massively. Trust me, it
Yeah,
massively
I-
overhyped.
I honestly believe that Warner Brothers paid some people to just say that they saw it and liked it. I
You
genuinely yeah, I think it was promoted fucking posts from people and stuff. Like,
Absolutely.
I think there was all those like,
It was
which
the
I
Tom
think,
Post,
yeah, I
wasn't
think
there?
the Tom Cruise stuff, I think since has been confirmed to have actually been fake. I don't think he actually saw the movie. I think he actually only recently saw it. But like that's the extent that the promo for that movie went to. Like people were putting out like whispers that people had seen the movie and were saying it was good, but Tom Cruise had never seen the movie before it came out, so that was a lie. I'd say the Spielberg stuff was a lie as well. Has to be. There's no way Spielberg liked that movie. I'm sorry.
Give
No
him the money.
way.
Hell
Yeah.
no.
No way. Imagine like, here, Stephen, we'll throw you 50 grand in Bitcoin or something. Like, will you just put a tweet out? Like, I genuinely think that like that's the stage that they got to because they knew they were going to lose so much money that they were literally resulting to those kind of tactics to try and get people to see the film.
Mhm.
And then God bless them, but when those first reviews came out and they were shitting all over the CGI, like when you shit all over CGI in a comic book movie, you know they're fucked. You know what I mean? Like comic book movies are so reliant on good CGI that if you have a comic book movie in 2023 that has shit CGI, you're done for. That's it. It's over. So the nails were in the coffin before the general public even got to see the movie. So I feel very bad for them, and I feel very sorry for anybody who's not Ezra Miller that was in that movie because it feels like they really put their heart and soul into it, and a lot of the movie was great, but it was dead before it even rose.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, every DC movie this year was dead before they got hit the
Exactly.
screen because of
100%.
James' announcement of his DCU. He
Exactly.
Yeah.
When was that? November? He literally made this year's entire DC slate irrelevant right then. So that didn't help much either.
Right.
I cannot tell you what that was about, but yeah, it like this. I cannot imagine how such a director from a so important IP just goes out and says, "Yeah, they're nice. You gotta watch them," but nah. How?
You don't have to.
Yeah, it's like
Gun's a pretty good movie maker, but he's turned out to be a really shitty executive.
You think?
It proves the point. Like, just because somebody makes a couple of good movies or a couple of successful movies, I won't say good movies because, in my opinion, I don't really like Guardians of the Galaxy anyway. Like even the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, it's a fine film. It's a very well made movie. It's got funny bits in it and everything. But during a rewatch of the MCU, I don't look forward to watching Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm sorry. So even Guardians 2, in my opinion, was probably 5 times worse than the first one, and then Guardians 3 was no better than Guardians 2. So I don't see the hype around Guardians 3 at all. I think Phase 5 is an absolute failure. People are saying Guardians 3 is amazing. It's a masterpiece. No, I'm like, are you fucking asleep or something? Like, no, it's not. I'm sorry, it's not. James Gunn, he's cool, but that movie was bullshit. I'm sorry. It was so bad.
Yeah.
Terrible. I was shocked. When Josh said he liked that movie. I couldn't believe it. Sometimes I feel like I know Josh, and then he just like comes out with some really weird takes on stuff, and I'm like, what?
Sometimes I think Josh is my best friend, and other times I think he's my worst enemy.
No, I just think I feel like I get him. Same with Theory sometimes. Like I feel like I'm on the same. We're all singing off the same hymn sheet, like, but then like Josh will throw out these crazy fucking comments, like, you know, he said Gen V was shit. He turned it off halfway through season 1, episode 1,
Wow.
and I'm like, what? I'm like, what? You know, and I could understand
know.
at some point. I could understand in some aspects, like, you know, he's sick of like the kind of shock factor stuff. It kind of annoys me a little bit as well, but I'm not going to stop watching the show. You know, that's ridiculous. And then apparently he said he went to the theater to watch The Creator, and he walked out of the movie. Like, I'm hearing this movie is incredible, and he walks out of the movie. So I'm like, kind of like,
I have not yet seen it.
Oh yeah, I
apparently
haven't
it's
seen
incredible.
it either. I forgot.
Sharky from my community went to see it today. 9 out of 10. Said it was incredible. Heavy spoilers. Said it was like, you know, this is the, like, he described it as, this is why he fell in love with cinema, is movies like this, like, you know. And I'm like, yes, I agree. Like, I haven't seen the movie myself, but like, from what I've seen and what I've heard, I believe that that's the type of movie that it is. But then, like, Josh comes in with a fucking complete like 180 take on it. I'm like, what? I'm like, I feel like I understand this guy, but then sometimes I don't. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's each and every one of us
Really
needs to make
depends
their
on
own
how
take
film
on some
schooly
stuff.
he's being that day.
True. Yeah, true. No, look, everyone has their own tastes, and I understand that more than anybody. I would say, you know, like, I that's why, you know, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to even get involved in Twitter conversations with people and arguments and stuff, because it's just like, look, I like something you don't. You don't need to attack me personally because I don't like what you like. That's just stupid.
Exactly.
But, you know, each to their own. But it kind of shocks me when I see something that's like a global kind of success, and, you know, there's a mutual kind of understanding of how good something is, and then someone comes in and just says they absolutely hate it. I'm like, how is that happening? Like, I just don't understand the disconnect, you know.
Well, I mean, I can get that. There's a couple Twitch streamers that I tend to watch, and some of the games that I absolutely love, they're like, yeah, I hate it. I can't do it. Like, I'm never gonna play it. Like, again, I tried. It was garbage. So like, it really, like, you know, you have that connection with someone, and you think that they're gonna like everything you're gonna like, but in reality, it's just another person. They're gonna have their opinions about everything, and so, like, you know, with your opinions about Guardians of the Galaxy, I like, there are a couple things that I can disagree about, but that doesn't mean that I should hate you for, like, you know, not liking all 3 of the movies. I think that the third movie was the weakest, considering that there was like absolutely nothing that really happened. The characters weren't done well and whatnot. The second movie, I think, honestly, I like the second movie more than the first, because I just like the CGI effects of it a bit more. I think that they did a bit more with like the alien aspects of things, like considering that, you know, they made Quill a celestial, which I still kind of don't like, considering that they used Ego. Like, if they used Ego as the celestial father, which to me is like, I get it. You just wanted to use Ego because he could spread, like, you know, you use this concept that he spreads his seeds across the universe and wants to absorb everything and become like a singularity. But like, you didn't have to make Quill part of that. I think that the first movie was pretty good. It paved the way for like just these rambunctious characters, but I think it also paved the way for a lot of different MCU movies to come out that were just rambunctious and obnoxious. And I think that's kind of like the mindset right now in terms of Marvel. It's like, we need to be as silly and ridiculous as possible. We need to, like, you know, spread a message that it's like, you know, MCU is just silly. And it's like, no, dude, have you read the comics before? And I know that this is me going again. It's like, I'm one of the core fans of this, being like, no, in the comics, it gets pretty fucking serious. The only time you see like hilarity and like rambunctiousness is like when you see Spider-Man fucking with thugs, or if you see like Moon Knight, you know, with his multi-personalities, like, or you see, you know, Iron Man drinking his way and like going crazy and whatnot. It's all these little things that happen here and there. And then, like, especially with Thor, when he goes home, like, he has drinks, he like, they have parties because they finished their mission. Like, it's those are the moments where you can be as silly as you want, but when it comes to like the actual like the storyline where the fight needs to come out, or like the villain needs to express themselves, or, you know, the plot needs to really like show itself forward and make it a serious moment, they kind of go like, all right, it's time to get serious, and then someone gets knocked from the background and slapstick happens, and then it like completely destroys any semblance of, you know, seriousness. And I think that's what's missing in the MCU nowadays. That's why people loved Infinity War so much, because although it had its silly moments, in the end, like it got fucking real at the very end of it. Like it was a tragedy. And that's one of the big differences between, like, in my opinion, the big difference between DC and Marvel is that DC is tragedy like 50-50 most of the time. It's tragedy. Marvel is like tragedy almost all the fucking time. Like it's nonstop. Like, I can't trust anyone. I have dissociative personality disorder. I have agoraphobia. I can't go outside, even though I'm one of the most powerful like superheroes ever. I have anger issues, so I transform into a monster and I become uncontrollable. I have a drinking problem, but I'm coping with it because I protect the world. I may be the strongest Avenger possible, but I don't know how to rule. There's all these different perspectives within Marvel, and that they don't really address that anymore. They just want it to be happy-go-lucky and fun, and that's not Marvel for me.
Yeah. I agree. Like, and on top of all of that, like the most important thing that they've lost is the connective tissue. It's just disappeared. It's gone. And I can understand some projects where it doesn't really need to be as prevalent. Moon Knight,
like Moon Knight,
you're introducing a new character. That's fine. I fully agree. Loki, we're in the TVA, we're going back and forth in time, perfectly fine again. Now, you could really, if they wanted to, they could have a thing where, where Loki first like robs the device. He could have gone back in time to Asgard to see Thor, and they could have got Chris Hemsworth in. You could have put a cameo in there and it would have been perfect. And I can understand why they didn't, but if this was 2017, they would have done that, and I feel like it's kind of weird that they haven't. I know Chris Hemsworth did a tiny bit of voice acting for the first season, and he did the whole Throg thing happened. That's great, but it's not enough. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking about a potential like Spider-Man showing up in this season of this show. And while I love the idea, of course, it would be incredible, I don't see it as being in any way a possibility. Not even I wouldn't even give it a 2% chance. You know what I mean? Not even 2%. Whereas I think if this season we see Chris Hemsworth pop in, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That this is the time. Like, I think I can't remember where I read it somewhere, but they say that they do plan to reintroduce Loki into the timeline and have a reunion with Chris Hemsworth, and that'll be an amazingly emotional scene to watch, because so much, there's been so much shit that this Loki's gone through. Like, it's going to be amazing to get him to see him reunite with his brother. But you got to remember as well, the last time he saw this version of Loki, saw his brother, he was like 2012 Loki. He was evil. You know what I mean? So he's going to have a lot to repent for. But the version obviously that Thor will remember is the one who sacrificed himself for Thanos. So that's going to be a bit strange. But yeah, that's just something I really can't wait to see, and I really hope that they do it in this season. I don't want it to be Secret Wars where it happens, because if it happens in Secret Wars, it's just going to be drowned in a sea of everything else, all the cameos, everything that we're looking forward to seeing in Secret Wars. I don't want that beautiful scene to get lost in Secret Wars, because it'll be a drop in the water at that stage, and it just won't be impactful.
Right, but one of the things that I notice about that is that the Marvel, like Disney's Marvel, is really trying to create this like build up once again of like, oh my god, we have everybody showing up once again, because Infinity War was such a great movie that we want to recreate that situation. And that's one thing that I'm very fearful about, because like it shouldn't happen that way. It should like gradually become a thing. That's why when we saw like Captain America, the Winter Soldier, we saw Civil War, it gradually brought itself together, because now we understand that these characters will interact with each other within the universe itself. And then eventually you get into Infinity War, where like it's Avengers Infinity War, and you have every character that you want to put in together, because it's the world. It's the entire world. When it's Earth is under siege, Earth's mightiest heroes come in and save the day. And that's the whole point of Avengers. So like when they do Secret Wars, like there's no buildup here. Like it's just like you just said, Finto, like there's no connection. There's nothing that like says that Loki and Thor are like, but I mean, considering that you're saying that they're going to connect at the end of the show, but that's probably a bad example.
Maybe not at the end of the show, but they will connect at some point. They do
eventually
plan to reunite them. Yeah.
Okay. But like, even then, that's just,
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. It's just two people. Like,
Yeah.
it's not enough for me to go, hooray! All the people are here. Like, it's mainly just candy at this point now. Because once we get into Secret Wars, and they'll put a bowl of candy, and it's like, hey, you see this variant? You see this variant? You see this variant? It's like, well, why didn't you do that in Loki when literally the term variant and TVA and all that kind of stuff? Like, dude, can you imagine how awesome it would be if you go into a universe where there is another Loki, but it's the fucking Matt Damon Loki?
Yeah.
Like, but he's legit Loki. But like, that's Loki, but it's just a Matt Damon Loki. He's no longer a cast member in a play or something. He's actually the Loki.
Bro, like, you know, like they could have done a lot with even the first season of the show. Do you know what I mean? Like they could have brought Hemsworth in so easily. I know they brought like, I don't know, like they could have brought anyone. They could have brought everyone in. They could have brought Odin in. Like, even when you saw like the young lady Loki or whatever you call it. What's her name? I can't think of her name right now. Oh my god, it's blank.
Sif.
Sif, yeah. No, not Sif.
Sif,
The female version of Loki.
Sylvie?
Oh, Sylvie.
Sorry, yeah. Like when you saw young Sylvie, like it would have been cool if you saw her version of Odin show up, and it doesn't have to be Anthony Hopkins. It could have been some other really amazing actor. And like again, it kind of just solidifies the point that, you know, Disney are just doing this on the cheap, because if this was 2017 MCU, they would have done something cool like that. You know what I mean? There would have been loads of A-lister actors going like, oh, I will definitely be a variant of Odin, for fuck's sake. You know, of course, it would be incredible. But now it's just like, yeah, it's like we get to see like a step in her bedroom, and that's it, like, and nothing else. Like, it's just, it feels lazy to me, bro.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that universe could have been utilized a lot better. I think that could have been like, in my opinion, it could have been the gender swap universe, where everybody is just gender swapped.
Yeah.
And it's just all
guys. Oh, sorry to talk. You know, I got something to do. Be right back.
Yeah, no worries, dude. No worries. Do what you gotta do. Yeah, like yeah, I would have been like, that would have been really cool. Like, imagine like a female version of Thor, not Jane Foster, but like a female version of the real Thor, and like, yeah, I think that'd be really sweet. That would have been actually, like, imagine how that would have been like perceived if they actually did like a full kind of like female world. Like,
it would have been, it's so cool. Yeah. It would have been really cool, because then you would know at the very least, like, they're doing something with the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
They're not taking it, they're not going the safe route. They're taking the hard route.
Yeah.
Like, we need like harshness. We need changes. We need full on like craziness. The multiverse is an open book. You can put whatever you want with it.
Yeah, no, it's the Wild Wild West, and they're not really utilizing it too well. Have you got any predictions for episode 2? What would you like to see?
For me, I'll need a minute. Chillin, can you?
Yeah. I think we're gonna start. I think that's the point where they start figuring out they're gonna have to follow Ravonna into the past, and like, not only keep her away from whatever version of He Who Remains they're going to find, but, you know, keep an eyeball on him, do what they can to screw up his plans. I think they'll probably, I don't know if they'll get in the past, like the part of the past we saw in the trailer early in the episode or not. I feel like it'll probably be in the second half of the episode, because they're going to have to, you know, figure out what the hell's going on, you know, set up their plans and shit. So, but yeah, I think by the end of the second episode, they'll have to be in the past.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
And they'll start that. They'll start the Victor Timely arc at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you think
that would be nice?
You think Jonathan Majors is going to be very heavily involved in the series?
Heavily, no. I mean, I don't think he was like going to be like ultra heavily involved even before all his legal problems started. I mean, he was going to be there, but it seems the focus is, like, even from the trailer, I'd already seen the focus was going to be more on Loki, Sylvie, and even Ravonna Renslayer too, because, you know, at the end of season 1, she, you know, obviously she was marching off to go find him and figure out what the crap was going on and what kind of damage Sylvie did when she killed him. And then, as we found out in episode 1, those two were really close. So, or this, you know, this first episode of season 2. So yeah, I think I think we'll get a decent amount of majors. We'll probably they'll probably do what they did before, and we'll probably get him right at the end of that episode 2, and like they'll do in episode 3 what they did with episode 1 to the end of season 1, which is it'll be like he'll pop out on stage, credits, opening the episode will be him on stage again, and then they'll just start right from that spot. That's what it feels like to me right now. We'll see. Avi.
Yeah,
That sounds applicable. Yeah, for sure. I think that's very likely, considering that they really wanted to show cliffhangers for each episode and trying to get us to question what's going to happen next. I really think that the time slipping situation with Loki was. I hope that doesn't go away. I think that should be, as I stated earlier, I think that should be an acquired power. Like he just happens to have it now because he managed to get pulled out and it's stabilized within him now. So now he has the ability to pick and choose a time frame, whether he's in the TVA or not.
That'd be very interesting. Like if it turned out that Loki was able to kind of like a speedster kind of go back and forward in time, he could kind of just like jump around without having to use like the TVA doors and stuff.
Mhm.
Like if he could just like think where he wants to go and just go there, like that'd be kind of sweet.
He'd be the time traveling version of America Chavez at that point, really, where she can jump universes. He can jump to different points in time.
Yeah,
right. And I think there's a comic series. I think this is based on. It's not with Kid Loki, is it? It's with the Loki that needs to basically like right all the wrongs. I'll have to look up the name of it, but I do recall that there was a time where they made a series based on Loki having to fix things.
I don't know. I'm not a big sweaty fucking Marvel comics nerd.
I'm sweating right now, boy.
I'm more of a DC collector in the physical comics, but that sounds cool. That sounds great. Yeah, I kind of hope so. Kind of hope so. I don't really know what to say about the show myself. Like I'm kind of switching my brain off for this one, and I'm just kind of gonna watch what's been put in front of me and just see if I like it or not. I'm not kind of gonna overthink it like with Ahsoka and everything. Like while I love doing all that, I don't know, for some reason I'm just like not as invested in this show as I have been with other series, like I'm kind of just I'm gonna try and sit back and just watch this one and just kind of react to what I'm seeing. Again, I'm not gonna stop watching breakdowns and theories and stuff like that, like, but I just kind of feel like maybe with this one the hype levels aren't as high as they were with previous projects. Like the reason why I started this podcast was because if you remember back to the hype around WandaVision and stuff, and just all the theory, all the Mephisto stuff, everything, like I was just so engrossed in all that I actually wanted to start a podcast to start talking about it with a bunch of my fellow friends who do this, who think the same thing. And, we're 113 episodes later, we're still here, like, so that is all very important to me, but for some reason I don't, and I can't explain it. I'm not really feeling like that for this show. It's weird.
It's
2 words.
It's all the different shows that have made you jaded, man.
Invasion.
yeah.
That was the last Marvel. That was the last Marvel project we got. We went from that. Yeah, we went from Lizard Love to now Loki. So
the Marvel shows.
I didn't hate Secret Invasion as much as a lot of people did. I mean, I thought it was, mid as fuck. I don't think it was complete ass, but that show like gut punched the fandom so hard.
Yeah, it was
because they did just completely underwritten. It was completely underwritten. I won't say underacted because Samuel L. and Ben Mendelsohn are the bomb. The chemistry those two had was pretty much all that saved most of the episodes for me. Was those two interacting. Yeah. But yeah, like it's almost like Solo and The Last Jedi. I mean, The Last Jedi pissed everyone off, and then a month later, here comes Solo.
Yeah. Poor Solo.
Yeah.
I've only ever watched it once.
I mean, was that movie a masterpiece? No, but it wasn't bad either.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible. But again, yeah, that's just, the the state of the fandom at that moment and the state of the content coming out at that moment. And I think the vast majority of the Disney Plus content that we've seen has not been good, you know, and the data's all there. It's very, very clear. Like, you know, like Disney Plus has lost probably close to 2 million subscribers from when they first started pumping out this content, and it was quite good. And then, you know, they do shit like Miss Marvel and She-Hulk and you know, some of the Star Wars shows have not been great. You know what I mean? Like, so all these people are like, I'm not paying for this. This is bullshit. Like, you know, I can just skip all this crap. Let's just go to the next movie, you know? And it's they're fighting a big uphill battle to try and get people interested in the shows again. And even if this show is incredible, I think the damage is done. I think there's people are just not going to come back in unless this show turned out to be something absolutely incredible, where Ryan Reynolds himself shows up as Deadpool at the end of the show, and they literally link it into Deadpool 3 with Ryan actually popping onto set. I think that's the only way you're going to get people to watch there. Like the people that have left, that's the only thing that you'll be able to do to get them to come back. You know, you have to have Ryan Reynolds or Hugh Jackman or fucking Chris Hemsworth. You got to have a big MCU star show up and save the day. Like, honestly, one of the like original Avengers or something like that have to come back for all the normies to come back, because it's just, it's too far gone now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Like I only wanted to say this to you.
In that circumstance, I don't even think in that circumstance one good piece of content is enough anyway. They need to run off like a couple 3-4 fucking bangers in a row. That's not going to happen here, because what's the next project after Loki? The Marvels.
Oh, sorry, the Marvels. Yeah. No,
the Marvels is out in November, and then Echo. So like after that, it's like we've been starving, and someone gave us like, you know, a nice bowl of sketty, and then now we're not gonna get any more fucking food again for like a while. So, and it's kind of like that, I think, for Ahsoka too, honestly. Like, we finally got something that really felt, it had its flaws for sure, but it felt like actual Star Wars. You know, it was so. But then the next project is Skeleton Crew. I mean, they're not setting themselves up to do what they need to do, which is rip off, like I said, 3 or 4 slappers in a row. That's what's going to get people back.
I saw a leaked trailer for The Acolyte, and it actually looks fire.
See, I heard about that, but I haven't seen the trailer.
I have it somewhere. I'll post it in Discord. I saved it on my phone because I knew it was going to get deleted. So I was like, I better save this. This. So I do have it on my phone. I'll post it in the Discord. But honestly, it's one of those ones that was shot on a big screen, so it was shown somewhere. And at the start of it, I was like, oh, this is fake. But then, like, you see like Carrie-Anne Moss showing up and all in the trailer. I'm like, okay, this is too good to look fake. This has to be real. So, you know, I'll dig it out and I'll post it. But it looks fucking great. It really does. I think that show could be a safety net. Like, it really could. But you're 100% right in what you're saying. Like, I think these shows they've burned too much. They've caused too much damage that they're really going to need a proper resurrection. And I think the MCU has it coming, but it's going to be a while away. You know what I mean? Like, there's some amazing projects coming. There really are. Like, you know, like Deadpool 3 is going to be incredible. You know, Kang Dynasty, Secret Wars, all these things are going to be great. But, like, you know, you're talking 2027, 2028. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have a 9-month-old daughter. I'll probably be taking her to the fucking cinema to see some of these movies. That's how long it's going to be till they come out.
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
So it's crazy to think it, but that's the kind of situation that we're in. You know, Daredevil, I have high hopes for it, but again, I've been burned so many times before with shows that should have been just straight hits. Like the Hawkeye show should have been better than what it was. The Obi-Wan Kenobi show should have been the easiest home run of all time, but it was a fucking fail. You know what I mean? Like Boba Fett, same story. Like, you know, they destroyed them. They destroyed easy wins, and it's just like proper L's. Like, it's crazy, dude. Like, I don't get it.
And it's not even, I don't think it's even so much that the show was short. I think it's more so that they wrote themselves into a corner where they didn't have enough time. And then they had to basically like shoehorn everything, like blow it all in there, blow it all, do it. So that's like when we see the end of Hawkeye, it feels so fucking rushed. So rushed. Like we don't even get to enjoy Kingpin. He pops in. Go ahead.
I rewatched Hawkeye. I rewatched all the shows almost a year ago now. I got COVID like close to Christmas time, and I was kind of locked away. I had to because my girlfriend was pregnant at the time, so I had to leave my house because I was like, I can't. She was like 8.5 months pregnant. I was like, I can't like risk getting her sick. So I went home to live with my parents for a week, and I had nothing to do, lying in bed all day, quarantined in my old bedroom when I was a kid. So I had my laptop sitting on a chair beside the bed. There was no TV in the room or anything, and I was like, what am I going to do here? So I booted up Disney Plus and I rewatched all the shows. And to be fair, they were all better the second time around. They were all better when you binged them, which just solidifies that, you know, they're not writing these shows properly to be like episodic weekly releases. They should just release them all at once. Just do it. You know, I understand why they release them weekly. They want to keep the sub counts intact and keep them high and, you know, have people coming back every Wednesday to watch more stuff. But, you know, these shows are hurting because of it. And it's just damaging the brand. You know what I mean? Like, I think I have no interest in going back and watching Miss Marvel. I never will. Like, guarantee you, I'll never watch that show again. But I understand there is a fan base for that stuff, and you know it's great that they got that. But for me, it's like no, that's a skip every time. But now I know after rewatching the likes of Hawkeye, after rewatching the likes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier and stuff like that, you know, these shows are actually really good when you just sit and watch 4 episodes in a row. Like they flow really well, and they're interesting, and they just feel more so like Marvel content. And I just think like I think Marvel or DC or Disney or whoever, sorry, not DC, Disney are gonna like the fact that they're releasing Echo all at once, like really kind of. I don't know if that's them learning a lesson or if that's them saying, just take this one. We fucked it up. Just take it. You know, give us shit online for 2 days and we'll move on. Like, I don't know which way that one's going to go. But
I'm pretty sure it's the latter and not the former.
Yeah, I think so. I really hope that's not the case because I think I can't remember where I read. So I don't know I can't remember who I'm quoting here, but I did read something there this week that said that D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox are going to be quite prevalent as characters in this show. So, you know, to me, that sounds amazing. You know, if you've got like Charlie Cox hanging around for, I think it's 9 episodes in total or 8 episodes. I think they cut one out. That's another red flag.
7.
I don't know how they can.
They cut it down to 7 now.
Sorry.
Well,
so it was 8
they cut it down twice.
Oh,
yeah, and then they cut it down again to 7.
Okay, so I had 9 in my head for some reason. I do remember that, but. So yeah, like again, I don't know how they're doing that. How are they doing that? Anyway, what like they're literally releasing it all in once. So I'm like, I hope it's for the right reasons and not the wrong reasons. But you know, we'll have to see. But yeah, like it's a rough time, man. It's a rough time to be a Marvel fan. You know, like, and I think I spoke about this on a previous podcast, but like it's like, you know, they're putting content out into the world that will go down as legacy, like, you know. And I'm gonna be rewatching all this stuff with my daughter someday, and you know, she's gonna sit there and be like, Dad, why the hell is like all the movies and shows, like, why is all this stuff bad? Like, it was so good. Like, how did it just go bad? And it's just like, I don't know. I can't really answer that. Well, I'm sure I will be able to answer it, but you know, it's like, it's just crazy to think that they're just damaging the legacy just for greed, really.
Cut to a few years later, and your daughter's like, I love She-Hulk. I think She-Hulk is fun.
I hope she does. But if she's like 6 years, if she's like 6 years old, I'm not really gonna value her.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, well.
Yeah.
No, I hope your daughter really enjoys. Like,
there's only 5 episodes of Echo.
What? That's fucking.
I just looked it up. There's only 5 episodes.
Oh my god, there was 9 at one point, or maybe 8.
January 10th, 2024.
That's crazy.
5 episodes all at once in January.
Wow, that's wild to me. Like, so, like, how, like, you know, again, we'll have to talk about that and, you know, review when it's over. But like, how do you go from having like 8 or 9 episodes, which when it was first announced were planned to be released weekly, how do you cut that down to 5? Maybe they're just cutting out all the bullshit and giving us all the best stuff. Like, maybe it'll be great. Like, maybe if they did that with Kenobi, it would have been better. Like, obviously, we saw what Kai Patterson did with the Kenobi cut. He
Then
turned
he
it into
just left
fire.
it as a movie in the first place.
Exactly. So
I mean, did you
maybe it
hear
will be
about the
good. Maybe
script that actually existed? Reva would have
yeah,
been actually cool.
yeah. Yeah, so they originally wrote the script for the Kenobi show was a 2.5 hour movie or 2 hours 30 movie or whatever, and then they decided that they wanted to spread it out to a 6 episodic like TV show, and they're like they just took a movie script and filled it full of shit to make it all fit. So and that's why your man Kai Patterson made that movie because he's like, let's kind of see what we can do here. Let's see can we turn it into a movie, and he created gold in my opinion. Like that movie, the Kai Patterson cut, I will watch that once a year. Like that is going to go in to my kind of. I have all my comfort stuff that I watch all the time. Like half the MCU is in there. Like there's some DC stuff in there. Like and there's always some Star Wars stuff, especially around Christmas and stuff. I love to watch Star Wars. But yeah, the Kenobi stuff will go into my Star Wars rewatches. Like I'll watch Episode 3, Kenobi, Episode 4, like that. Genuinely, like it's that good. So yeah, it's wild to me, guys. It's we're I've just checked the time there. Jeez, we're live over 2 hours. So let's pop into a bit of Gen V and then we can get out of here. Yeah, because we're not
Sure.
usually live this long.
Yeah.
It's nearly 1 a.m. for me, so I gotta get to bed soon. I got work. Gen V, Chillin. Sorry, I don't think I've ever spoke to you about Gen V at all or the boys or anything like that. You do watch this stuff, do you?
Yes. Yeah. I went through and watched The Boys like a year or so ago, like because it was all 3 seasons were already out, so I just binge watched all 3 seasons.
Epic. I'd say that
So I
was
was like,
so
hell yeah,
cool.
that show is fucking awesome. So I was hyped when I first heard about Gen V, and I'm digging it
Yeah.
through 4 episodes. I'm digging the Gen V. I think it feels a lot like the original Boys. Obviously, the characters are younger, so they're gonna have to change some shit. But yeah, I think they kept the essential parts to keep the feeling going. So I like it. Eric Kripke it really makes me wonder, honestly, what the hell Kripke would have done with Supernatural if he wasn't on the CW. Like if that one was like on say HBO or some shit, what kind of messed up shit would he have done with that show?
Bro,
Like how many dicks would we have seen on Supernatural?
You're singing to me now. You're singing to me now because I'm a massive Supernatural fan and I love Kripke as well. So yeah, dude, like honestly, it's and like on it, like the first I'm actually rewatching Supernatural at the moment, and the first 6 seasons of Supernatural. Six is where it starts to slip a little bit, but the first 5 seasons of Supernatural are like some of my all-time favorite TV. Like I'm genuinely gonna be getting like a Supernatural tattoo soon. That's how
Nice.
invested and how much I love that show. So yeah, it's
Did
very
you notice the
interesting.
second guy was Jack?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It took me an episode or two. I'm like, why does that guy look familiar?
Yeah, no, I knew it
And
was
then I'm
him
like,
straight
oh
away.
fuck, it's Jack.
Yeah.
I was like, oh
it's gas.
shit.
Yeah, didn't need to see his dick in episode 4, but anyway. It was grim. I'm just gonna say something like, I've no problem like looking at dicks on TV, but like where's all the vagina on TV? Like, you never see any actual vagina on TV. I'm trying to like say I was trying to have this conversation with my girlfriend before, like, and again, I don't care if that dicks are popping up on the TV, like it doesn't bother me, like, but I'm kind of like, I don't think tits and dick are the same thing. I don't think they're on the same level. Like, like my girlfriend's like, oh, but like you see girls like with their tits out all the time. I'm like, that's not the same thing. Like, this is dicks. Like, I think dick is a very serious thing to show on TV. You know what I mean? I think it's very very explicit.
As guys, we only have the one option though, really. Like girls have more options for flashing. Like we have.
True.
That's it. That's all we got. We can only drop our pants. We lift our shirts off unless we're like, fucking ripped. No one's gonna care.
To be honest, I would nearly say that like a girl like flashing her tits during like a sex scene like would be probably, it's not the same as like a dude like taking his dick out. I think that's way more serious. I think it'd be more like a dude like showing off his six pack or his ass or something. It'd be like I think we're so desensitized to tits at this stage. Like, they've been in movies since like the 70s or whatever. But like honestly, like how many like actual like vagina shots have you ever seen in a movie? I can only think of one. Like an actual vagina shot. Not like where you see somebody like just standing naked, she's got a bush and you don't see anything. I'm sorry, the conversation's going really weird here.
No,
but,
you're good. You're good, dude. It's like
I think
it's all
there's there's the original Basic Instinct.
yes, that's the one I was thinking of. If there's any others, I've never seen them.
Didn't we see
believe Wolf of
quite
Wall
a bit
Street.
of Margot Robbie and Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah, you
that's
don't
what I said,
you
Wolf of
don't
Wall
actually
Street.
see, but you only see her kind of standing there. Like you're not seeing her actual vagina. Like you just see her standing there.
I thought when
full
she was
front.
holding him, I thought when she was holding his head back with her heel, we got a pretty good look. Like it panned around. I got to rewatch.
I don't remember seeing her actual like vagina in a full blown shot, like straight on. Obviously, there's the scene where she like walks out of the room and she's like naked, but like again, like that doesn't count. I don't think, because like it's not like an actual like front facing shot of her full vagina. Like it's just her standing there and it's all kind of tucked in, and like you don't see the good bit. Like,
right.
It only counts if you see pink.
Exactly. Well, like it's crude, but I'm just saying, like the point I'm trying to make, again, I don't need to see vagina on screen. I don't care. It doesn't make content good for me or anything. I'm just saying, like, it's just very strange that in 2023, and especially with this show, there's a lot of dick in this show, and it's kind of like I'm kind of thinking like, how are they doing it? Why are they doing it? Like I know it's all about the shock factor, but at the same time, it's like we're not seeing like, and especially in the last episode, what's the girl's name? Is Termite? Is it? She's the small one, the tiny girl?
No,
Termite was the dude.
Termite was the dude
no, sorry.
from Boys episode.
What's her name?
Episode 1. That
she has
was
another name. She has a name like Termite. Cricket. Sorry. Yes. So
Cricket,
when Cricket started scoffing her face with all the food, I turned to my girlfriend and I was joking. I was like, "Here comes She-Hulk." I was like, "She's gonna get huge, right?" But then she like, and again, if this was a dude, right, and this is kind of like where we're at, right? If she was a dude, he would have walked out and there would have been like a fucking 80-foot long
sticking balls,
dick,
like swinging around,
hitting the camera. Like honestly, like they would have had a dick actually hitting the camera. But like again, like we don't even see her tits. Like I'm like, what's going on? It's kind of weird, right? Is it just me that finds this stuff weird?
Honestly,
it's not so much that
I think Kripke's making a statement with that shit. Honestly, I think he's purposefully just doing that because everything's been so balanced the other way.
Yeah,
and I think it's a little bit of trying to balance stuff, and I also think it's just a little bit of trolling. Like, you know what? Screw this. Y'all are getting some dicks.
Yeah,
and I'm perfectly okay with that. Like, I think it's also in the comfort zone. Like, you can't just outright tell someone like, "Hey, I need you to put your tits out. I need you to put your vag out." Like, it's a different kind of comfort. Like with us guys, it's a lot easier for us to be like, "Hey, can you run down the street naked?" Yeah, sure, I could totally do that. Like, it's one of those things where, yeah, it was like a heat of the moment thing, but like for a woman, it's still kind of like taboo in the sense. And also, like I said, it's the comfort zone. Like for guys, kind of usually we could just answer and just be like, yeah, no problem. But for a girl, like it's completely different. Like you have to get the consent. So I think that's part of it as well.
Of course.
And
so consent is always going to be there. Like, there's no women that are getting naked in movies that don't want to really be naked. Maybe even in the past, but not in 2023. And maybe do you think that maybe that's the reason why we're not seeing any tits anymore? Because people are just like, I can't do this. Like, I'm not doing this.
Well, yeah, I mean, for some scenes,
yeah,
I think I don't remember if it was in an interview or something, but I think Margot Robbie was saying that, like, she had to put herself out there. Like, it's the idea that she, she's attracting Leonardo DiCaprio's character, and is basically like trying to say like, hey, you want me, and this is how you're gonna have me, kind of situation. And like, so she did that scene to really emphasize that feeling. And so, like, for a person like Margot Robbie to do that, that's completely different because she was okay with it. She allowed that to happen. Whereas, like, like I said, like for a guy, usually it's really easy to be like, we'll give you a dick double. Because like I don't know if you've ever watched The Righteous Gemstones yet, Finto. I remember telling you about that show.
No.
So there's Walton Goggins. He plays Baby Billy. And so he gets up from the tub and you see his dick for a short amount of time. And so from that point, like, thanks. Like Katie and I were like, holy shit. But then we read an interview and it stated that like that was a double. Like they used like a prosthetic.
Yeah.
To kind of like showcase it. So
that's very common now as well.
Yeah,
There's
so it's
a lot
possible,
of
like,
stuff.
right. So it's possible that even though we're seeing this on camera, it's possible
not
that
real.
it's not even the real thing.
Yeah.
And so it's
I
just
agree.
easier. It's easier because we can wear a cup with like a prosthetic and then just kind of showcases as such.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like with a woman, it's kind of hard. Like I don't know if like there's any way to do like a molding. I'm pretty sure you could do a molding as such, but like even then, that still requires a bit of like confidence and like acceptance, because once you do that, a woman is much more like idolized as like a sex symbol in the sense than a
Yeah.
dude. Like a dude can bring his dick out and people like, oh, and then be like, that's okay. A woman will do it and they're like, oh, and then they're like, okay, rule 34. Okay, we got it. We got the information now. We know what it looks like. Like, and it can get really fucked compared to a guy. So it gets really dicey. So like that's where I can see it. But other than that, like I get what you guys are saying. It seems weird that like, you know, we just see a bunch of dick and balls, but like again, I think it's just easier.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
and I'm not giving it a
what
bit.
you were talking about. Yeah, no.
I was just gonna say
what
I'm
you were
not
talking
giving it
about. Just remind. Have either of you ever seen the Trey Parker, Matt Stone movie Orgasmo,
No.
but I want to see it.
or heard of it?
I have heard of it. I just want to see it.
It's hilarious. Yeah, it's hilarious, and part of it is Trey Parker's character is a Mormon, and he somehow ends up in the porn industry. And one of the things they're talking about is exactly what you were talking about. That they just were like, "Oh, you don't have to actually have any sex. We'll bring in a stunt cock." And then like Trey Parker started making movies, and like every few minutes, every time you'd get to the point where he'd be the one fucking, they'd be like, "Stunt cock, stunt cock, stunt cock," and then they bring some other dude in. You never saw dick in that movie though. It was only ass, but it was only men's ass. That was another thing. It's that kind of running, only seeing dude stuff joke it's been around for a minute. And that's also kind of what this is reminding me of too, is a little bit of that. It's like, you know what? Just all you're gonna get is man parts.
Yeah.
Just because that's the opposite of what you generally get. Normally there's all kinds of titties and, you know, tits and ass flying around, and the occasional full frontal. But it's always way more women than men. So, you know, those two did it in that movie and Kripke's doing it now. It's like, we're just going to swing things in your face for a bit. Enjoy.
Did you see the and I want to move on from this topic after this, but did you see the Tommy Lee show with Sebastian Stan and I can't think of the girl who played Pamela Anderson, but he played Tommy Lee in the show. It's a kind of like just a loose kind of telling of their story of the sex tape getting leaked and stuff. But Sebastian Stan, like full blown, like, because Tommy Lee, as everybody probably knows, is well hung, like, and Sebastian Stan had to wear a fake dick, but like they went as far as like they showed like full frontals, like, so Sebastian Stan standing there with like a fucking 10-inch cock, like, but it's not his actual dick, like it's a fake dick. But they went as far as actually making the dick talk to him in one of the episodes. So like they got he's kind of tripping balls on drugs or something, like, and the dick is like speaking to him, like it's. And that one like was very funny. But it's good. It's actually a very good show. It's on. I think it's on Disney Plus. Actually, sorry for you guys, it's probably on Hulu or something, or FX. But it's a really good.
I was going to say that's not on Disney Plus here.
I have Tommy Lee's dick on Disney Plus here.
That's hilarious as shit.
Yeah. Look, like I think episode 4. Sorry to go back to because the second I brought up Gen V, I don't know why. I was just thinking I wanted to get your kind of opinion on this.
It's on the mind. I get it.
Well, like, dude, in episode 4, we saw Jack's dick explode. So I was kind of like, you know, dick is on the mind in this episode. Like, so, like, apart from the dick exploding, like, what did you think of the whole episode?
Oh, awesome. I think it kind of dragged a little bit in between. I think the character of Sam is a little bit lackluster. I think that they need to add a little bit more to that conversation. I think there's just like not enough of a chemistry going on yet between like Cricket and Sam. I think it's like kind of getting there, but it just doesn't seem as like interesting as like everything else that's going on. I mean, you see like Marie like is struggling with the idea of like wanting to see her sister. I forgot the one guy's name who can like move things with his mind.
Andrei,
or with his hand. Is it Andrei?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
Not our Andrei.
Andrei's the Magneto
Yeah.
kind.
Yeah.
Andrei's pseudo Magneto.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then you see the other girl, the one that can like manipulate people by like touching them.
Touch. Yeah. The rogue. Hurt their rogue, basically. Kind of.
In a sort of.
In a way,
I think it's
kind
more
of.
like an Emma Frost.
He's a pusher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pusher. Yeah.
So from what I understand, and I don't know if most people have noticed this, is that I don't think that it's just all about touch. I really don't, because if you look at what she's doing, and I've already called this out like before, like I knew you probably had an inkling before me, Finto, because you had already watched the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Is that she can manipulate people, and I don't think it's just through touch. I think touch maybe amplifies it, but I think that she can manipulate people slowly through like looking at them, and that's why her eyes start to get bloody on the end, because she's like focusing so hard. And so if you notice throughout the entire episode, one of the things about this is that like she seems like she's trying to help them, and I don't like over time it just becomes apparent like she's absolutely not. She is trying to get as much information as she can, and then she's going to manipulate them and try to get them to forget things or try to like be framed for things. And if you look at some of the scenes, I don't know if you notice as much as I did, Finto, but like I am staring at her eyes every time she's talking to people now. And her eyes have started to get red over time. Like when at that one scene with Marie and her and Andrei comes in, and then they have this conversation, and she looks over at Andrei and she's got red on the side. And I'm like, what did she do?
She's not touching anybody. Yeah. Like, so why is she so worn out? Yeah. I know what you mean. I know what you're saying.
So I think I think it really is something to do with her eyes rather than her hands. And I think it's just a facade, because it's like, why are her eyes like starting to get red? Like, why is she starting to pop blood vessels? Like, what's going on here? And why is she so invested in this when it seemed like she was just going to be like a ditzy girl for the time being, like attached to Luke? And so like, it's kind of like, as you see, like the backstory, it's like, okay, well, she's part of this because she's able to go through like the psych wards and the labs and whatnot, like no problem. She can go and talk to people, and she'll probably manipulate them so that they forget, so that nobody knows that she's actually part of it.
Yeah. No, it's like it's a very clever means of manipulation, because people automatically think that they're safe because she's got the gloves on and she's not touching anybody. But yeah, I think you're right. Like, she could potentially be manipulating people in another way.
If I noticed that, I just chalked it up to like what she was doing in the stairwell, like manipulating multiple of those, the super guards or whatever you want to call them. Yeah.
Right.
Rather than just the standard school guards. That's all I chalked it up to. But now I got to go back and rewatch that shit and see if I see what you're seeing now, because that's fairly cool and fairly curious. I didn't even catch that. I just chalked it up to little, power over usage.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the little subtleties that like you really got to pinpoint, especially because it's, to me, this is kind of like a murder mystery. It's a bit of a murder mystery to where, you want to know like why this is all happening. And so like my brain is like, I want to help with the investigation. I want to see what's going on. There's probably little things going on in between. And so like, as I'm watching, at the most, I stare at that chick's eyes just to make sure she's not trying to do anything crazy.
Well, she, like in the 4th episode, I don't think she touched anybody. She was trying to take the glove off once, and your man says, "Take that glove off, and I'm gonna fucking kill you," or something. He says to her, like, you know? And like then you're like, kind of, oh shit, yeah, like she's trying to take. She's like, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get comfortable or something. But why does she have bloodshot eyes in that whole episode then? Like, and I think you might be right, yeah. I think she's potentially doing something else. She's working on the inside. She's working for them or something. You wouldn't know. Interesting. And did you mention this last week? I can't remember, but you were saying you think that maybe she's the one who's imprinting all those thoughts into Golden Boy's mind and driving him crazy. That would kind of make more sense as well. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting because like obviously the brother Sam, right? He only has strength powers, if I'm not mistaken. So how would Sam be communicating with Golden Boy in the first episode? Like, they're not able to communicate telepathically, right? As far as I understand. And Golden Boy's powers are more kind of strength based as well, right? So
Right.
who's connecting the two people together? And yeah, the girlfriend makes sense.
And she's probably manipulated him
Yeah.
to imagine that there's like these hallucinations in his mind or like voices in his head. Like he's starting to generate them because she told him like, you have voices in your head now and they're of your brother. And all these things are going on. We need you to you need to be a crazy person basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they're like, what the fuck?
What do we think of the
I wonder what her
character
end game
who
is, though.
Yeah, true.
Me
I don't know.
too. It's kind of weird.
That's why I think maybe she's employed by the college. Like she's working with the dean, and she's working for with the underground base, like the
She
woods or
works
whatever
with
they call
Vought.
it. Yeah, or she could be working for Vought directly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do we think of your man? What's his name? The investigator. What was his name? Ted Knight or something?
Tech Knight.
Tech Knight.
Knight, yeah.
Oh, dude, that was so funny. Like where he
It
was
was
like
fun.
fucking all the holes, and then
Yeah.
just at the very end. At the
He's
very
filling
end, but then at the very end when he's
Yeah.
like, and that's the whole truth, and you realize the name of the show is like a hole. Like, I was like, oh, bro, I was crying
Yeah.
laughing, dude. It was so funny.
And then that fucking hole right at the end too, where he's trying to
In the
do
tree.
his final spiel, and he keeps.
Yeah, he's like, guys, I need a few minutes alone.
Yeah. You guys go on ahead.
Yeah, I'll be
And
following.
then like the whole, then like everything, then like the how they do scenes like while the credits run, and it was just like him nailing. It was a whole montage
dryer,
of him banging
yeah.
holes of all kinds of things like that, hand dryer and all that shit.
Yeah, I'm sure
that was
because
nuts.
Seth Rogen's very heavily involved in the show, and I can only just imagine a lot of them just sitting around smoking weed, just having such a laugh at the crazy shit that they're doing. And I'm sure they're sitting there thinking like, how much are Prime going to actually let us away with? Like, let's try and break. I would love to know. I'd love to be like on the inside for like a creators meeting and see, is there anything that they pitch that Amazon are like, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. Because I feel like that there's not a lot. Like, we've seen multiple dicks explode now at this stage, and just crazy shit happening. Like even like the kind of some of the normal stuff that's happening is still absolutely insane. Like Marie, the main character, like her first period wipes out her whole family. Like if I was to pitch that to you as an idea for a show, you'd be like, whoa, calm down, bro. So like it's just
Yeah.
it's the whole show's completely out there. Like it's just wild. I'd love to know.
Yeah, they definitely found the right person at Amazon.
They've got an insider. They're definitely someone's just hitting that fucking, or they've somehow like robbed their own like little Amazon stamp of approval, and they're just stamping their own shit. Like they're doing something big time.
Yeah,
big time.
And the show
though.
Yeah, I think like it perpetuates the idea too that there's just this nonstop feeling between like all the superheroes and villains and whatnot, that they're basically not good people. Like none of them are really any good, no matter who it is. Even Marie was like having a fucked up moment, like where she could have said something, and it took Tech Knight to bring it out. Which I totally understand. Like you're in such a hot spotlight, and then you hear that your sister thinks that you're weird and doesn't want to talk to you or something, which I think is completely a ploy. But like the fact that like students at a university are trying to manipulate other students into like sex and whatnot, or try to have like drugs and drinks with them, and like not giving a shit because they think they're like untouchable. It just follows all the way into adulthood for them, and I think that's one of the best parts of the show. And I know that like it can get gratuitous and it can get gruesome at times, but that's the point of the show.
Yeah,
is that like these supers don't give a fuck what happens.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the show. Like the show is, it's what would the real world be like if there were superheroes, and this is exactly what it would be like. The kids who are going to college, they're all fucking wired, they're crazy, they think that they're fucking gods, and they're all just going around fucking and taking drugs and trying to get to number one rank, like, and they want 1 million followers on Instagram, and it's all about taking selfies and pretending to be sad. Like that is the world that we live in right now, just minus the superheroes. Like that, this is the world we live in. So that's what brought me into The Boys straight away from episode 1. The second you see Homelander and you're like, oh, here's Superman, their version of Superman, and you're like, this guy's cool. And then it's like, hang on a second, he's fucking evil. It's like, holy shit, like this is insane. And that's it got its claws in me from episode 1, like, and that's like why I come to this show. Like, you know, yes, it's gruesome and it's shock factor, and I'm sure we'll see a couple of more dicks before the end of the show, but like that's what they're doing to kind of shock the crowd, and that's why we're here. Like, you know, like that's what we come to see.
The phone in the statue.
That it just skewers literally everybody, though. Like they don't care. They're sticking it to both sides of the culture war all at the same time. The satire, the level of satire on this show, and the skill with which it's applied is fucking magnificent.
Yeah, no, it is. It's surreal.
Because it also shows that not only the men are manipulative, but the women are just as manipulative. Like they're literally the conversation that Cricket has with that one lady. You know, it's supposed to be a confiding situation, but like she didn't give a shit that like she didn't say like, oh, keep this a secret. She would have exposed it regardless.
That was a secret. I didn't know. Like that's just girls being bitches, bro. And that's the real world as well. Like this is exactly it. Like, you know, they're all out to stab each other in their back and try and, you know, get clout, get views, get likes, all that sort of shit. Like, it's so real, bro. It's so real. It's such a fantastic show. I love it. I'm still like over the moon, thankful that I got to see the first 2 episodes on the big screen, and I just, you know, it was great. It was such a great start to the season, like for me, like because I don't know, it just made the show feel so much more special.
Well, what's awesome also is, like you said, it feels very real, like very now, like we can see our world in that, but they still give us the escapism with all the extreme and all the over the top powers and, you know, exploding dicks and all that other shit too. So they still keep the enough of an escapist aspect for the real life stuff doesn't get like overwhelming and you lose the fun, you know?
Yeah, exactly. They do it to perfection, in my opinion. I know Josh doesn't feel the same, but
definitely.
It's so well executed, in my opinion.
It's funny because he liked The Boys a lot, as I recall. He was half the reason I even started watching The Boys is because he gushed about him so much.
I know. I think he's just kind of. He says they've overdone it now, in his opinion.
Yeah,
and I kind of see it.
Well,
not yet. Like
no.
If you rewatch
three more dicks, so that it's overdone.
Dude, if you rewatch season 3 of The Boys, a giant dick snake is trying to wrap around Mother's milk.
Did you notice that he was in Gen V as well? Did you see him?
Yeah.
He popped in for a second.
They talked about him. Yeah.
Yeah, you saw the big dick like popping up to the window.
Yeah.
Oh, so disturbing. I love it. Guys, we're 2.5 hours in. I got to call it quits here. It's 1 a.m. for me right now on a Sunday night / Monday morning. So I got to call it quits. Chillin, right, it was a pleasure to have you. Andrei is not here at the moment, but massive thank you to him for showing up as well. Yeah, look, guys, you can catch Chillin in the basement. Yeah, dude, for sure. Oh yeah, get him on the socials. If you're listening to us on a replay, if you're listening to us in a podcast format on Apple or Spotify or anything, you know, do the reviews, hit like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, we'll see you soon, guys. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.